Oftentimes in life, people don't like being stuck in someone else's shadow. Take basketball, for example. Every great NBA player gets compared to Michael Jordan, and for years, players were labeled as the next MJ before they could even care about their own identity. That kind of constant comparison changes how someone is perceived and sometimes how they react. The same thing happens in gaming. GTA, the Michael Jordan of open world crime simulators, the gold standard everyone else was measured against. Plenty of games tried to follow, but most faded away. Then came Saints Row. The first game proved it could stand as a rival. The second showed it had found its own identity. The third pushed things to the wild and over the top, though some fans felt it had gone too far and lost focus. But nothing could prepare anyone for what came next. Behind the scenes drama shaped the franchise's direction, and the result was a game that was truly patriotic, unapologetically ridiculous, and quite literally out of this world. Welcome to episode 4 of the Saints Row Takeover. Today, we're taking the red pill with Saints Row 4.
I started out with nothing. Just a kid from the streets with nothing to lose. Once I joined the 3rd Street Saints, everything started going my way.
All right, everybody listen up. We got some serious shit to discuss.
You earned your colors today.
I think it's time we give those other crews a wake-up call. The Saints used to own Stillwater, and it seems like the only that remember that is me and Gat.
Shit took me half the time.
Welcome to the 3rd Street Saints. Let's get down to business.
If you're new here, welcome. I'm the Retro Phantom Digital Handshake. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. We've got just one video left in our Saints Row Takeover with Gat Out of Hell dropping in 2 weeks. And don't forget, the Rockstar Takeover continues with GTA 4 coming next week. If you like to support the channel and stay locked in for all the new uploads, hitting that subscribe button is the best way to do it. My current goal is 10k subs and we're less than 3k away. So hop on this journey with us because history is being made. If you enjoyed the video, dropping a like helps a ton, especially the way YouTube treats smaller creators. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. Every little bit helps. With that said, let's dive into this. Now, if this is your first Saints Row retrospective, feel free to advance this video. I'll give you a moment for that now. Alright, let's set the stage. Back in 2003, a small studio called Volition set out to create what they described as a gang simulator. What they ended up building was nothing short of magical.
We had this design exercise, this was one of the first times we'd done it at the studio. We invited everyone to participate in coming up with new game ideas.
One of the ideas was this gang simulator. First-person shooter, gang simulator, real straightforward, nasty little game. And we were talking about it, and to me, the idea of doing that didn't make sense, but what made sense to me was to go where the audience was, but there wasn't a lot of competitors. And for us, that was open world. There was nobody doing those games. It was just basically GTA. And my attitude was, there's 8 million people playing those games. No one's been able to succeed. We're a very high-tech group. Why don't we take a shot at this? And instead of trying to do all kinds of different things like role-playing games and first-person shooters and all this sort of stuff, why don't we just try and focus all of our skills into one area, which would be open world?
So we cobbled together this vision trailer by taking, clips from movies and clips from other games and cut it to a hip-hop song I can't remember the song, but it was Fuck the Police, that was it. And we played that in the boardroom. And there was dead silence afterwards, and the CFO says, "This is really the kind of game that we want to be making." And they talked about, we're near LA, gangs are a serious matter here. We have gang fights, we have gang riots, we have a lot of people being killed. Brian Hurl, the CEO, said, someone's going to make games like this. I believe in this, and we're going to make this game. And then we came up with rules like there will be no children. You can't kill the police, which that rule fell away. And I forget what a lot of the other ones were. It was people were very nervous about what we were doing there. I think some of them were probably worried, someone's going to throw bricks through my window or something like that.
It was an interesting struggle. There were people who were not happy with what we were making there. I mean, on the team, did not want to make that game, did not want to even be associated with that game.
It was called Bling Bling at the time. That was the name of the concept. And I'm back with the term was, I don't know, I can't say cool, but like new.
It was really more of a gang simulator. It was a more serious game. But to me, the sort of wacky humor aspects of Saints Row, for me, I hope for a lot of people, take away a lot of the, oh my God, you're a gangbanger doing these terrible things. You give player tools like driving vehicles and explosives and so forth, and a somewhat real city to do it in, they're gonna do wacky stuff.
It was kind of crazy because it was a brand new structure, and the genre was completely new. And then we decided to go to the 360 rather than doing it on PS2.
The documentation was incomplete. We weren't sure how fast it would be. We weren't sure how much memory it would be. We didn't know what the throughput was going to be from the DVD, which in a streaming open world game is really important.
That was definitely the hardest project I've been on. Technically, it was just extremely difficult. And we had to do streaming worlds for the first time, and I mean that alone is just enough to make some companies just shut down.
I think THQ really believed in the game, believed it was going to be successful. I think a lot of people here thought this is taking too long. There's too much stuff getting cut, thrown out. I'm working really hard here, and this game's not going to turn out well. And I think there was a fair amount of negativity on the team. It was like Red Faction.
We were dealing with a level of complexity that we had never, we'd never tackled before.
Our largest ever budget of $8 or $9 million, I think, and we blew through that by a lot. THQ doesn't like talking about budgets, but
we'd never been above, I think, about 30, 40 people in a team, and all of a sudden we had 100 plus people on Saints Row.
Really, once we crossed 100, I realized I can't keep up anymore. A name pops in, a name pops out. Someone had a beard, he shaves his beard. I think he's a new employee. I embarrass myself.
Every year, Mike would, at the company meeting, would show a chart of how many heads we'd hired or whatever. And it was pretty much going up every year.
Being part of THQ, I don't really think changed the company very much. Team size growing is what changed the company a lot.
What the fuck you think you're doing? Just being civic-minded is all.
People didn't know how the game was going to be received. There was a lot of negativity in the postmortems. Everybody is asked to write a postmortem as soon as possible after the game is done. So it's what you're thinking then, not when you look back and say, well, the game was really successful. It wasn't that bad. So there was a lot of negativity in there. There was a lot of criticism of management.
And then it came out and it did very well. And all of a sudden that changed. So it was very interesting to watch that, the metamorphosis of the people who didn't support the game to all of a sudden, yeah, let's do another one and let's make it better. Saints Row 2 and the fact that it really came out and kind of put the mark that we wanted to put out there and say this is about making fun and it's about creating that over-the-top feel and doing it so that it's more about the player, spending time not trying to make what a designer wants to make but what the player wants to enjoy.
I think it's awesome that it's sort of identified itself as it's got this unique identity that it didn't have necessarily with the first title. It was always like GTA, comparisons and whatever, and that's completely fair. But it was cool to see, especially Saints Row 2 and 3 is just taking it even further, just being able to find its own identity and this certain brand of humor and action and just craziness. Is just really you guys did that. I still hear stuff that just cracks me up.
I think these people are much happier and because they understand what they're making.
From the start, Saints Row drew constant comparisons to Grand Theft Auto, which pushed the franchise to evolve in a different direction. Instead of competing beat for beat, Volition leaned heavily into satire, parody, and over-the-top chaos. And in doing so, they carved out a unique identity, one that not only stood apart from GTA, but gave players something fresh, unpredictable, and often hilarious.
A video game's first responsibility is to show the player a good time. To say that Saints Row III is a good time would be a severe understatement. Running naked around the fictional city of Steelport and wiping out rival gangs with mind-controlling octopi is some of the most fun I've had this year. There may be a tendency to dismiss Saints Row as a Grand Theft Auto clone or as juvenile antics, but when you just want to indulge in some mindless violence and sexual depravity, Saints Row III will more than suffice. Saints Row III takes you out of Stillwater, the setting for the first two games, and drops you into the new city of Steelport. 3 local gangs are well entrenched, but the 3rd Street Saints aren't going to settle for 4th place. Your job is to take over this new city and show everyone who's boss. After an intro mission sets up the story, you'll get the chance to customize your character. Customization plays a big part in the entire game, from your body to your dress to your vehicles. I love that, at a glance, no 2 players' games will look alike. One will star a voluptuous vixen in a cocktail dress, while the next may feature a blue sumo wrestler with cat eyes that speaks in zombie gibberish. Some of the immature characters and dialogue do make me cringe. People often swear for no reason in a way that feels really forced, and a pimp that only speaks in auto-tune and calls every girl a bitch gets old fast.
I was saddled up in a human pony show. Will you see me crying about a little girl?
But the character that matters most, my character, really won me over. I played as a lady, well, a female. She's definitely not a lady. And despite the fact that she's an amoral mass murderer, I believed she cared about her friends. Plus, I really liked the voice actress portraying her.
Pack it up, we gotta move.
The story mostly serves as a way to get you into ridiculous situations. Saints Row III unfortunately falls apart at the end with a less than satisfying conclusion. However, following the story is just half the fun, and when I completed the campaign, I had only finished half of the side missions with an overall 72% completion. Many good times await after the campaign ends for those that want to achieve 100%. While definitely not up to the standards of recent games like Uncharted 3 or Rage, Saints Row 3's visuals go easy enough on the eyes. I love the towering skyscrapers of Steelport lit up with neon, but down in the streets, things can seem quiet and lifeless. As you tear around town, the traffic magically appears in front of your car. This is an open world, but I wouldn't say it's a living world. Before the credits roll on Saints Row III, you'll cat-sit a tiger, get a sex change, hack up Mexican wrestlers with a chainsaw, visit a Tron-like computer world, and participate in many other ridiculous leisure activities. Saints Row III can be accused of being many things, but repetitive is not one of them. When you need a break from story missions, you'll find loads of optional activities all over Steelport that boost your street cred and earn you cash. My favorites are the insurance fraud missions that ask you to run into traffic and cause as much bodily harm to yourself as possible before time runs out. Pretty much anything you choose to do in Saints Row III has been incentivized and will earn you either money or respect, both of which lead to territory and valuable character upgrades. It's fantastic game design. We're constantly rewarded for simply playing the game. By completing certain story missions, you gain access to badass vehicles like a transforming hoverjet and a pixelated retro game tank. In the spirit of staying out of the way of the player's good time, Saints Row 3 gives you an infinite supply of these recreational vehicles in your cribs. So grab a hoverjet, take it joyriding, crash it, then go home and grab another, as many times as you want. Or you can have it delivered right to you. Amazing. Saints Row III allows you to play the entire campaign cooperatively, but doing so yields mixed results. While the nature of 2 players running around with rocket launchers and tanks can create comical chaos, not all of these missions seem designed to be played cooperatively. Players may sometimes feel like a third wheel.
Now that we're all caught up, let's dive into the road that led us to Saints Row 4. Even before the 3rd game had launched, THQ was already hinting that the series wasn't slowing down. Danny Blisson, THQ's vice president at the time, went on record just a week before Saints Row 3 released, saying, "I already know what Saints Row 4 is about, and it's wilder than this one. It's a good example of how you take what you have and you say, what can happen in the next?" That kind of statement immediately gave fans hope and hype that another wild sequel was inevitable. And after that huge success of the 3rd, Volition doubled down with DLC plans. On April Fool's Day 2012, they announced Enter the Dominatrix, an expansion that would give the boss superpowers. At first, it sounded like a joke, but it was real. and fans were genuinely excited. Volition spent about 3 months developing this Superpower DLC until a major shift hit the company. Jason Rubin stepped in as THQ's new president, and he made the call to fold Into the Dominatrix into a bigger project. According to Volition, Rubin pushed to stop the standalone expansion and instead evolve it into what would eventually become Saints Row 4. His reasoning was simple. With next-gen consoles looming, THQ didn't want to release a current-gen Saints Row too late into the cycle. And while that strategy made sense, it also meant that Into the Dominatrix, what many considered Saints Row 3.5, never saw the light of day in its original form. Instead, it was expanded and transformed into the full sequel we got in 2013.
You are looking at the very first build of Saints Row 4. And you might look at the title screen and it says Saints Row 3.5. What is Saints Row 3.5, you might ask? Well, during the days while old THQ was running the show, they wanted there to be a small DLC add-on for Saints Row 3. Some of you might know that Saints Row 3.5 actually morphed into what you know as Saints Row 4 today. But the story goes deeper.
What?
Uh-oh. I think we should first show off what Saints Row 3.5 was going to be first before we kind of dig into that story.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, let's just jump right in.
Let's just jump right in.
Yeah,
okay.
totally.
So, Arif, did you do any voice recording
I believe
for this?
I did. Back when I was growing up, I believe we did do a lot of stuff.
Young Padawan says it's like an onion. Yeah, the story is kind of like an onion. So you're looking at this, and you might wonder, let's turn off some of the debug stuff here.
Don't worry, chat. I unmuted us very quickly.
Yes. So you might look at this and think, oh, this is just a regular copy of Saints Row 3. But it has the 0.5 on it. And because it has the 0.5, you can do a couple little things like superpower jumps.
Yeah. Oh, and T-posing.
And inside of here, we also had a small dash. So this build is so early, we were prototyping what superpowers might feel like inside the game. So let's go ahead and enable what some of these were going to be. Yes, superpowers were initially going to be a DLC add-on for Saints Row 3.
Yeah.
As a standalone DLC pack. So let's go ahead.
Oh my god, I find
What?
Were these guys always in this spot, or were they just...
you just called the warden.
Oh god, I did nothing. I did nothing, the warden's here. And when I say warden, I mean... It's a brute who kind of whoa, hey there. Who kind of behaves
Yeah, just keep mashing the buttons. You're gonna kill him.
Unless I ragdoll.
They said they saw Zinniac advertising somewhere too, so we're gonna have to look at that.
That's pretty nice.
I'm just wailing on this dude. And then falling over.
I think you do this a couple times and it's there. So we're prototyping gameplay of the wardens coming out. So after you take over an area, which it shouldn't have happened this fast, but it did. These big guys would drop from the sky called wardens, and we just used brutes for their temp model. So we knew that they were going to be something else.
OLED?
You have to hit. You have to jump into him now to like take over his body.
Oh, really?
That's what that means. Yeah.
How do I just?
I think Y.
Into him?
I think it's Y.
We'll try that one more time when he gets the exclamation point on his head.
Yeah, I think it's like Y or something you have to hit.
Nice.
What?
It's not Zinniac. It's a warden. It's different.
Yeah.
We might be in an infinite loop right now.
Yeah, this might be just.
Because you're supposed to jump inside of him and then he explodes and like you take his power
like in
and
the
then
Matrix.
you get just like in the Matrix. In fact,
okay, he's down now.
In fact, we actually called this the Saintrix.
Okay.
Before Legal stepped in and said,
Oh, Legal.
Yes.
So nice of you to join us.
I know. So, they're saying you broke the game already. So another fun, cool thing about this game is that we were also prototyping some of the superpowers, and you'll notice that a lot of these made it into 4 final. So if you are you going to TK that car? You're going to try this? So TK originally had no VFX, and you could actually pick it up and throw it and do all kinds of crazy shit with
too.
it. Yes.
So you can just kind of smash the same car into things multiple times.
Yes. You want to look down at the ground so it's kind of like a downward angle. Yeah. So like get that to a ped and then just smash the shit out of it. So pick up that car right there.
Yep. There's a cop.
And it's like boom, 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 boom.
Oh my God! Murder, murder, kill, kill. What are you guys doing?
This is Volition. This is like Thursday at Volition.
Oh, this is how we do it here. Yeah. Dang.
Oh God.
So telekinesis was just happening just in general.
Yeah, it was just happening. And there were some other superpowers there, too, that you can look at. You can pick up anything that had a ragdoll or a physics object to it.
So
these signs... Is that a Scion XB?
No. It legally was approved to appear in Saints Row 3. So there's actually not very many new things in this because we were literally just prototyping the superpowers to be like, hey, will this feel good in the city?
Now understand, while all this was happening behind the scenes, THQ itself was in serious trouble. The industry had begun shifting away from mid-tier licensed and children's games, the kind of products THQ had built its identity on. The global recession of 2008 to 2009 hit sales hard, and to make matters worse, missteps like the commercial failure of U-Draw Game Tablet cost the company tens of millions. As losses piled up, THQ tried pivoting towards higher quality original IPs, but then it was too late. Underperforming sequels, mounting debt, and failed turnarounds left the company with no choice but to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in December 2012. Attempts were made to sell THQ as a whole, but the bankruptcy court blocked that plan. Instead, the company's assets were auctioned off in early 2013. Studios were shut down, franchises scattered, and staff laid off. The THQ era had come to a sudden and messy end.
I'm Damon Hatfield and this is IGN News. THQ, publisher of games like Saints Row and WWE, is bankrupt and auctioning off its assets. The new homes of THQ franchises are slowly being revealed. Koch Media, Ubisoft, and Sega are among the new owners of THQ's intellectual property and studios. It's worth noting that all of these sales are pending approval from U.S. bankruptcy court and nothing is finalized yet. A hearing is currently underway in Delaware. So, Sega has agreed to purchase Relic, developer of Company of Heroes and Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War. Koch Media, owner of Dead Island publisher Deep Silver, has agreed to purchase Saints Row developer Volition as well as the publishing rights to the Metro franchise. Deep Silver will lead all further development and marketing for Saints Row and Metro. Saints Row 4 and Metro Last Light are both currently in development.
Volition, the heart and soul behind Saints Row, was sold to Koch Media, becoming their first internal game studio. Not long after, on March 15, 2013, Volition officially announced that Saints Row 4 was coming, complete with an August 23rd release date and its own debut trailer. The game made its public appearance at E3 2013, where a demo was shown and longtime Volition producer Jim Boone spoke about the project. Early impressions at the event were mixed. Some players were caught off guard by just how wild the superpower direction had become. But for the first time, critics also noted that Saints Row 4 no longer felt like it was chasing Grand Theft Auto. Instead, it was carving out its own chaotic niche. One outlet even summed it up by saying, Saints Row 4 feels like a weird mashup of the old Saints games mixed with Crackdown and Prototype. The Saints series is known for being weird, so it's a perfect fit to introduce even crazier concepts to keep gameplay feeling fresh.
Saints Row 4. The only thing that's been missing from the series is aliens, and Jim Boone is here to fix that with a world premiere first look demo at Saints Row, what you guys are showing at E3. This game is coming out this year in August for the current gen consoles. So we'll put next gen aside and look at a fun game. So we're parachuting in here. Tell us a bit about, obviously everyone knows the over-the-top nature of Saints Row, from the dildo bats to whatever. You got them all in there. What is going on here?
So here you're seeing the President of the United States. He's going around and doing his superpowers right now.
Okay.
So he's in.
You are the President of the United States.
You are
just
the
So
President.
you know. Okay.
Exactly right. Yeah.
From the crack house to the White House.
Exactly.
Right?
It seems like a perfect little transition for the player, right?
Yes.
In his path of conquest. And, and here you're getting a chance to see him in this very twisted version of Steelport, where he's able to do a lot of these movements that obviously are totally new to the series. So. You have things like wall running, you have gliding, which you saw when we just started off here. We have super sprinting. Because your ability to navigate through this world is just completely different and unlike anything else we've ever done before. Totally changes the way that you interact with the city.
No need for Air Force One anymore.
That's right, exactly.
Okay. All right, you are President One.
That's
now
right.
tell me, these superpowers, is this an ability you have from the start of the game, or is this just one level where you sort of have this superhero kind of fantasy, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it takes a little bit before you get all the powers. And what we do is we want to start off and try to pay it off where you become the President of the United States. And kind of show almost the origin story to how the heck does a player become that.
Yes.
And then ultimately these aliens come in, the Zen, and they abduct the President, put him in the simulation, and the simulation is where you start to get these superpowers. Right. And so as you play through the game, you'll slowly start to unlock these superpowers, and you'll be able to upgrade them as you continue along. So you'll definitely, what you're seeing here is a pretty fully upgraded character right now, showing off all the abilities. But you're gonna have to earn this in the game.
Same as Aliens as Half-Life series, or different?
Different.
XEN, ZEN?
ZIN.
ZIN,
yes,
okay,
exactly.
Cool. Different. Didn't know about any crossovers there.
No crossover.
All right. So as we go through Steelport here, obviously you've got sort of the third-person action that people know from the game. Tell me about the open-world nature of this game, because that's something that you guys really were one of the first games that really did that in a big way, like Grand Theft Auto. How open-world is this game?
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time actually in the open world with Saints Row 4. We've got the typical campaign like you would expect from a Saints Row game, but where we've really spent a lot of time is coming up with new activities that are completely fresh for the game. There's things that superpowers and give you a chance to really show them off as activities. But then there are just an absurd number of activities, collectibles, just tons of things to do in the world. And I always joke around, when you see the mini map after you've unlocked everything, you almost cannot see the world for all the things there are to do and collect in the world. So we've really tried to pay it off, because your ability to navigate through this world and do things in it, it's so fun. We wanted to make sure that we had plenty of things for you to be able to do in the open world.
So is the White House now in Steelport?
It is not.
Okay.
We do show off the White House, though. It's one of our earliest missions in the game, and you get a little bit of a taste of what that's like to be the President of the United States as also being a leader of the Saints. So we try to pay it off, but the way we always joke around about it is that probably not a lot of gamers out there that fantasize about writing bills or things like that. So we just we pay it off, and then we get you in with the action.
All right, so this game is known, or this franchise really is known for completely over-the-top insanity. What is that one thing that you think in this game that everyone is going to be taught? What can we get trending on Twitter today tied to Saints Row 4? Break down something new for us.
God, I think that one of the biggest things is, so we have these superpowers. Yes. And we have these things that are called clusters that are scattered all throughout the world. And so you use your superpowers to go get these things. And then as you pick them up, those are the very currency you use to expand your superpowers. And we will see people in our playtesting spend hours just going around the world doing nothing but collecting these things, upgrading their powers, giving them an easier time to go get more clusters. It's incredibly addictive. You'll go off to a mission to do it, see clusters, and suddenly half an hour has gone by where, oh, that's right, I wanted to go do that mission. And then we go back to that.
So how are you pushing the M rating in this? I know obviously you've got some crazy weapons, crazy dialogue. What are some of the things that we can't show on TV that you can tell us?
We've got, well, let's say this. We have a number of homies, so just like with any other Saints Row game. And we've definitely taken a page out of the book of other games where you have the opportunity to romance your compatriots. And so you can just imagine what that must mean in a Saints Row game.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that.
All right. So there's lots of cutscenes.
There are a number of cutscenes.
All right, Tim. Well, it looks really cool. I mean, what's great about this game is it's fun. It's coming out this August, and I'm sure you got tons of other interesting levels across the board, and there's other things. I know with Saints Row the Third, you guys had that crazy Tron-inspired level. You had lots of other things.
You're exactly correct. There's a ton of different variety in this. We've had a lot of different areas where your homies are set up in these nightmare realms. islands and a lot of different areas to go visit and see.
Zombies, you got to have zombies, right?
Zombies we don't have this time, but we've got some other things in mind.
Every game's got to have
I know,
zombies.
exactly.
You mentioned we're going to take a look at some of the activities you can do in this level, because the president has been in full-on superhero mode here. But yeah, tell us about some of the mini games or activities and things we can do.
Definitely. So we have one that's called Professor Genki's Mind Over Murder.
Professor Genki's
Yeah,
back.
he's back.
Why didn't you bring Professor Genki? The whole costume, you could have brought it on stage.
We thought about that, but it's just a little too much. We don't want to frighten anyone with the evil professor after all.
All right, so tell us about
But that is one that's totally focused on your telekinesis ability.
Okay.
So you've got to go around and collect these various items and shoot them through these targets that are scattered about the area. And it really is a fun way to be able to highlight the telekinesis ability. And it's one of the ones that people really find addictive, because you just picking something up and throwing it against the wall or throwing it wherever you want, it's just awesome. So giving some mechanics around that, putting Genki in the middle of it, it's just awesome. It's a great way to do it.
Superhero Genki?
Yeah, it's well, we do have a I can say that we've got a superhero Genki in the game. It's not one of your allies though. You'll see him from time to time in the world.
Nemesis?
Nemesis.
Wow, Genki's gone evil?
He is a little bit evil this time.
All right. Wow,
yeah,
it's a big battle.
Encounter. Exactly.
Big boss battle against Genki.
Yeah.
What is some of the arsenal he's got? Does he still got that cannon?
He does not. He actually uses his own versions of superpowers.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's got telekinesis. He jumps around, has fast movement.
You could have brought evil Genki with us.
I know.
All right, next time, Jim.
Yes,
well, that's very
exactly.
cool. So obviously, as you go through, you have all these superpowers. Tell us a bit about, is there a meter where you have, I guess, some degree over here, you sort of have an ability of superpowers and that will drain and then automatically rebuild over time?
You've got it. That's exactly right. So each one has its own reservoir.
Okay, yep.
So there you see it in the lower right-hand corner or right over the targeting reticle also. You'll see it fill back up, and then that's what lets you know that you're ready to fire it off again. And then each one has its own. So if I want to fire off blast here, freeze these guys, I can then pop over to a different ability and fire that one off. I don't have to wait for the universal meter to charge. Each one has its own. So we really wanted to try to err towards the side of you just having lots of constant combat and just have fun as you keep doing it. Right. And all those things are all upgradable as well. So you'll still be able to go in and upgrade the recharge rate, how effective each ability is. It's a ton of different upgrades in this.
So nothing would be better than superpowers in multiplayer. Are you guys going to do anything related to that?
Yep, we definitely have full co-op gameplay, 2 players. You'll be able to drop in, drop out. And the ability to be able to use superpowers with your buddies is it's unbelievable.
So are you co-presidents then, or how does that work?
Yeah, the way we always talk about it is that when you play, you're the president, and that's how you perceive it to be. And then the other guy is the vice president, because no one wants to play that. Right. So when we do cinematics or things like that, usually you're seeing your guy as the central sort of character in the cinematic. So it makes you feel like you're the one.
Awesome. Now, you guys have had some fun voice cast members in past games, from Hulk Hogan, I think, to other folks.
Yes.
Who's going to be in this game?
So we've got Terry Crews actually in this one. He plays Benjamin King. He's a returning character from Saints Row 1. So it's a lot of fun to be able to have him back. Yeah. He was originally voiced by Michael Clark Duncan, who unfortunately passed away. And so we brought Terry Crews in, and he did a fantastic job for us on this one. It's been a lot of fun to have him on board.
Fantastic.
So he's one of the ones that's the easiest one for us to share right now. We've got a few other surprises that we're not quite ready to reveal in terms of the casting, but I think fans will be excited about it.
Absolutely. You guys always do a great job going over the top and adding some fun to your summer of gaming. So we'll check out Saints Row 4. It's coming out this August, right?
Yes, August 20th, exactly.
Finally, on August 20th, 2013, fans got their hands on Saints Row 4. What had once started as a canceled expansion had transformed into one of the boldest and most chaotic open world games of its generation.
When we came out with Saints Row 1, there really weren't that many open world games that were out there. And I think that at this point in the industry, it's pretty tough to come up with a game that really is unlike anything else out there. That's one of the things that I think the people have always loved about Saints Row. There's nothing else like that in terms of the tone, in terms of all the options and the over-the-top nature of everything.
Put in your tampons and let's do this.
It's kind of like improv, building on top of it, and then you kind of take a step back and look at what you created. We have a dildo bat plan because we have meetings where we sit around and we talk about, well, what if we do this? Have we thought about this? And like these really intricate conversations about these really silly things.
For the most part, the game's all about the player having fun doing crazy shit, sort of having their way with the game.
It's a huge initiative, and there's so much to this game that trying to get everything right and to get everything balanced and polished and get everything tested, it's definitely a testament to the team.
We've got a talented bunch of folks here that put it all in and try to stand toe-to-toe against giants, and I think we're doing all right.
We love our fans, and so that's why Saints Row 4, we really took this approach of it being like a love song to our fans. That we never forget the people that stuck with us this entire time, because that's why we got to be where we are. Without Saints Row 1 and 2, there'd be no Saints Row 3. Without Saints Row 3, there'd never be a Saints Row 4. And so finding ways to go and have the game evolve, but evolve in such a way that doesn't alienate them, that makes them feel that they're a part of the journey, rather than being forced to come along for a ride they never wanted, is something that's very important to us. It takes a lot of work to make something that's beautifully stupid.
Oh! It's insane. It blows my mind just the levels that the storyline goes to. It just crosses all boundaries.
I'm more fun as a gang leader. We have a country to run. Fun isn't part of the equation.
So in a nutshell, years have passed since the events of Saints Row 3. And the player, through heroic action that you get to go and play a part of in the beginning of the game, is kind of thrust into more fame and adulation, in the respect of America. And as a result, he becomes the President of the United States.
But around this time, that is when Zinyak and the evil Zen invaders come in. They abduct the president, they abduct all of your homies.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a time for fear, but a time for celebration. Today, the best and brightest among you will find salvation within the Zen Empire.
They put you in a strange version of Steelport to try to twist your mind and get you to become part of the Zen. But unbeknownst to Zinyak, you're a psychopath, you don't really play by his rules, and you rebel against him. And so you break out of the simulation, you have to work to get your allies, and ultimately take the fight to Zinyak.
Is this virtual reality prison that you're placed in? It really lets us go and play with reality and put us in unique situations that are tailored to the characters.
This isn't a born-again thing, is it?
No, she's future you.
It's so different than anything we could go and do in the real world.
It's pretty wild. It's an interesting ride for sure. It's easy to sort of be concerned that it's too crazy, but in terms of Saints Row and where the franchise has come and where it's going, it makes sense.
Nothing was out of bounds. We could do literally anything.
What the fuck?
We don't use that kind of language here in Steelport.
We're definitely turning the tables on the aliens. For all the misery that they have inflicted on the human race, being able to use the anal probe on them seems only just.
From a mechanic standpoint, as well as a breadth of content standpoint, Saints Row 4 is the biggest and best game that we've ever made.
We had just gone over the top with Saints Row 3, and we were wanting to just have fun, and that's what we did. We just gave them more tools to play with in the sandbox, more superpowers, more crazy over-the-top weapons.
One of our earliest changes that we made to Saints Row 4 was to introduce the superpowers to the game. And it just makes the gameplay totally different with being able to roam around the world, super leap, super sprint through the world. You have all these powers. But then what we started to think about is if I have all these amazing powers and I'm fighting against just the standard gang members like we've usually had in all the previous Saints Row games, it's going to be a very difficult challenge for us to try to balance the game as a result of that.
You know, in Saints Row the Third, we took it up to 11, so on Saints Row 4, they want to take it up to 13. And so we really can't just have regular gangs, even if they're wearing Mexican wrestler masks. We've got to go even further. So we've got the aliens.
Hello, humans.
Having aliens in Saints Row 4 really allowed us to expand on these crazy weapons that we're known for. So if we didn't have aliens, we probably wouldn't be able to do, black hole gun, super overpowered laser rifles, the inflato ray, plasma rocket launchers. None of that would really make sense without these aliens.
Damn, I'm good.
When designing the rectifier, one of our lead animators had the idea to put a tongue inside the tip of it. When it opens up, there's a tongue inside and it's wiggling all around. So after I created that, he animated it and grossed himself out so bad that he requested that we remove the weapon from the game. We left it in.
Every year, more and more games kind of come out in the open world genre, and I totally understand why. It's an amazing space to be in. It's so exciting, it's immersive, it allows the player to go and feel they're a part of something bigger than themselves. The nice thing is that no matter how many people go and come into the open world genre, we always feel that Saints Row stands apart as something different from the pack. There's no other game where you can go and change the gender, ethnicity, body shape, and voice it as completely as you can in Saints Row. There's no other game where it says, listen, we've recorded the entire game 7 times for you to go and experience with the voice that you want.
Poverty is a problem.
Apartheid is a problem.
This is just a couple of...
Here's the latest approval poll. We lost 20 points, we can get them back.
It just celebrates the fact that it is a game, that it is just fun and bombastic and whimsical, which is great. I think it's great for everybody.
I'm just that good.
We don't want the player to jump through our hoops. We want to jump through the player's hoops.
Saints Row doesn't bother with asking why, it just asks why not.
There's some people who really love Saints Row 3, and there's some people who really loved Saints Row 2. And they would go and they'd argue online which game was better. And Saints Row 4 is kind of our attempt to go and bring these people together into one big happy Saints Row family.
Yep, I did that.
What's up? It's Terry Crews. This is Saints Row 4 in the house. It takes just the same amount of effort as you would in a movie.
So what's the situation look like out there?
It's bad.
Why do I have a feeling that's a big understatement?
I think fans are going to be the most excited, obviously, about Johnny Gat. Johnny Gat is back.
Now we're talking.
It's almost a daily occurrence when one of my followers on Twitter will ask me what's happening with Johnny Gat, what's happening with Saints Row 4. It's a testament to how powerful this game is to the gaming community.
We tried to do a little bit of a twist with Shondi. We have Saints Row 2 Shondi, who is obviously a much more laid-back version of Shondi versus the more angry version of Shondi that you might have experienced in Saints Row the Third.
The most memorable thing you ever did was get captured by your smoked out ex.
That's not true.
I'm sorry, and fucking half of Stillwater. Go team.
I always thought you were just really friendly and hated pants.
Someone gets it.
You get to actually craft who that person is. Everything down from hair color, eye color, you know, height, body build, male, female, ethnicity, everything.
There's no separation of gender in this game. You can be anything you want to be, and there's no difference in the way people interact with you.
I know over the years you've heard this speech a bunch of times.
Heard it. Bitch, I wrote it.
We have a lot more surprises in store for fans. This is Saints Row fan service to an nth degree, and I'm so fucking excited about it.
Pretty much anything goes now.
Saints Row, let's go.
It's easy to look at something like Saints Row and go and think, oh god, they're just doing whatever. What's the appropriate level of crazy for a certain thing? The amount of discussions that we have about seemingly innocuous things are really weird. And like, it takes a lot of work to make something that's beautifully stupid. Without Saints Row 1 and 2, there'd be no Saints Row 3. Without Saints Row 3, there'd never be a Saints Row 4. And so we have to go and respect that.
There needs to be a dialogue between us and the people who love what we do.
My name is Mike Watson. I own IdleNinja.com. I've been doing mods for the franchise since Saints Row 2 for PC.
So Steve called Mike up on the phone and asked him to come out and try out the game.
Leave it to the Saints. Brought to you by Friendly Fire, the only joint.
It hasn't felt real to me until now.
And then later I followed up with Steve about the stuff that he was doing with modding and basically said, you know, could we get in touch with some people from Volition? So we came up with Kinsey's Toy Box for the SR3 modding SDK that we're building.
And now there's some dedicated guys who are trying to go and help support that modding community and giving them what they want.
We're working on this in our spare time, even though we have lots of other things to do. And the reason we're doing this is people out in the modding community, they're developers too, and it would be crazy for us not to give them tools to be able to follow their passion. We absolutely cannot wait to start getting the first releases out where people can start modding weapons, changing clothes, changing characters, putting their own face and their own ideas onto our game, and really taking Saints Row and making it the ultimate expression of customization.
This isn't me.
Shondi, you okay?
This is getting weird. Get out.
There's kind of a little bit of a holy war that happened after Saints Row 3 came out. There's some people who really love Saints Row 3. There's some people who really love Saints Row 2. And Saints Row 4 is kind of our attempt to go and bring these people together into one big happy Saints Row family.
I love Saints Row 2 on a level far beyond any other game.
He felt that the franchise forgot about him because I was with you guys for the first 2 games. And then he went so far in this other direction in Saints Row 3. And he's like, maybe the game is just not for me anymore. You can never go and feel disappointment if you never loved something. And so that's why Saints Row 4, we really took this approach of it being like a love song to our fans.
It started off a little slow, and I think part of that was, I was looking at a lot of unfinished assets, unfinished cutscenes. But once I got past a certain point in the story where I started being able to change weapon skins when they started getting more of the superpowers, that's when it became something really special.
Over the course of 3 days, it was interesting seeing him go from being trepidatious to being interested to loving it.
There's just so much great stuff in this game that I didn't expect.
A lot of the open world takes place in this virtual recreation of Steelport, which has been great because you kind of have a sense of familiarity, but we also knew we wanted to go and feel different. Because of Superpowers, that's exactly what happens. You experience the city in a very different way. We have structures changed, we add these massive alien towers that you can climb up, but the biggest thing is that because you are leaping over buildings, the whole vertical element of it has redefined everything about the city.
Because that was like the most fun I've ever had playing a Saints Row game or any superhero game.
Whoa, guys. Can we just get to murdering already?
If we know that people like certain things, we should celebrate that and give them more options. We know people wanted more customization options. Let's let them customize weapons.
Because all the weapons in 4 are just like crazy amazing.
Shouldn't have fucked with the president!
So whether you're a fan of Saints Row 2 or Saints Row 3, you're really going to be in for a surprise.
We have Johnny Gat. Will not be a Saints Row game without Johnny Gat. Benjamin King from Saints Row 1 as your chief of staff. We have a lot of the old favorites from Saints Row 3, Kinsey, Pierce, Shaundi, other Shaundi.
It really feels like a celebration of the entire Saints Row franchise instead of just a continuation of Saints Row 3. I feel like Steelport's actually part of the Saints Row universe, and now that I feel that way, I feel better about the new characters.
Obviously, every game we want to bring more people in. We want more people to go and experience the game than the previous one. But it's also so important that we never forget the people that stuck with us this entire time, because that's why we got to be where we are.
Here is a quick spoiler alert as I'm about to tell the story behind Saints Row 4 along with Saints Row 2, and Saints Row 3. Now, if you're not a fan of spoilers, please advance this video to the gameplay overview section as seen on the timeline below. Let's dive into this. The story opens up with a monologue from a woman narrating the rise of the 3rd Street Saints, their dominance, and their pop culture takeover. From there, we cut to a mission briefing. Shaundi, the boss, and Pierce are preparing to take down Cyrus Temple. While everyone else is on comms, the boss stays silent, letting Kinsey outline the plan. She explains that they'll rendezvous with an MI6 agent named Asha, who, she notes, once worked in the KGB alongside Oleg. Pierce is skeptical of this whole operation, but goes along anyway. Eventually, they reach their destination and meet Asha. She makes a strong first impression, throwing Pierce's sarcasm right back at him before properly introducing herself to Shaundi. Together, the group scopes out enemy guards, but where Asha leans on tactics and procedure, the boss charges in guns blazing, cutting down the opposition and clearing the path. With the area secured, they infiltrate the base. That's when another voice enters the comms, Matt Miller. Kinsey immediately loses it, furious to hear him involved, but Asha assures her that Miller has become a vital hacker for MI6. Their back and forth tension sets the stage as the group pushes deeper inside. The mission turns into full-blown tactical espionage action, with the Saints taking out terrorists while Miller tracks down the nuke. Cyrus eventually breaks in over the intercom with a furious monologue. He rages against the Saints, claiming they ruined America, and vows to start fresh by destroying Washington, D.C. itself. As the crew closes in, the U.S. military begins to bomb the compound, but Miller insists he'll handle the nuke while the Saints chase down Cyrus. The confrontation escalates into a one-on-one battle between Boss and Cyrus. After a brutal exchange, the Boss shoots him, sending Cyrus tumbling into a vat below. But in his final act, Cyrus manages to trigger the nuke, launching it straight at Washington. Without hesitation, the Boss sacrifices himself, climbing onto the missile mid-flight. In an over-the-top action movie moment, the Boss tears through the missile's wiring and disarms it, saving Washington, D.C., and crash landing into the White House. We jump forward 5 years into the future, where Boss has achieved the unthinkable, becoming president of the United States. At their side are old allies like Pierce and even Ben King of the Vice Kings, now working in the administration. Despite the power, the Boss's presidency is described as reckless and approval ratings are slipping. On the way to a press conference, the Boss is greeted by none other than Vice President Keith David. Yes, Keith David, the actor, is now serving as second in command. He immediately presents the Boss with a dramatic moral choice: use limited resources to either cure cancer or end world hunger. With the decision made, the walk continues, and another politician steps up to challenge the Boss, promising to filibuster against their agenda. The Boss can respond with diplomacy or brute force, depending on the player's choice. This walk through the White House quickly becomes a mix of comedy and fan service. Josh Burke pops in, excited about watching Nightblade later with Oleg. Oleg himself makes a brief memorable of casually kicking a fan who rushes to the Boss. Finally, the Boss reaches the press conference where Kinsey, now serving as press secretary, fails through questions from reporters. Just as the Boss is about to make their speech, Shondi warns them about an alien invasion, and before anyone can react, all hell breaks loose.
The president's words were taken out of context.
Kinsey, what's the right context for, and I quote, "I'm the patron saint of America. We should probably look into changing the Pledge of Allegiance to one nation under me"?
That's a great question. Jane?
I think we have a problem.
Oh, not you two. How many times do I have
Asha and Miller are waiting for you in the Oval Office.
If MI6 needed something, they would send it up the chain, not fly across an ocean.
They said nobody back home believes them.
Jesus, what's going on?
They think we're about to be attacked by aliens.
I gotta go.
This is serious. You know that Kinsey's been saying the same thing.
When did you start taking Kinsey seriously?
When the people who helped us save the world said we should.
All right, I'll swing by after.
Hello, humans. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a time for fear, but a time for celebration. Today, the best and brightest among you will find salvation within the Zin Empire.
I'm smarter than all these people.
Delightful.
Kinsey, no! Protect the president!
I do love your spirit, my dear. I'm Zinyak. Pleasure to meet you. Would you like to join me for a ride? Splendid.
As the invasion begins, the Boss breaks free from the Secret Service and, in true Saints fashion, storms through the White House, completely unarmed, on the way to the Oval Office. There, Asha arms them up, and the Boss heads to the South Portico to bring the fight directly to the Zen. The battle quickly turns personal. Along the way, the Boss watches helplessly as allies are abducted one by one. Keith David, Pierce, Ben King, all are pulled away by the Zen. Even Matt Miller and Asha are eventually captured, leaving the Boss completely alone to hold the line. With no one left, the Boss takes control of the South Portico defenses, turning the fight into a full-blown arcade-style shootout, an over-the-top moment that feels like alien invasion brought to life. After mowing down waves of Zen forces, the Boss finally comes face-to-face with the mastermind behind it all, Zinyak. The two clash in a cinematic showdown, but despite the Boss's best efforts, Zinyak proves overwhelming. The fight ends with the alien leader getting the upper hand, setting the stage for the Saints' greatest challenge yet.
Did you really think you could stop me? Shit! Oh, human arrogance. Is there anything more charming? Do what exactly? Huh? Bravado me to death? I'm going to have fun breaking you.
After the showdown with Zinyak, the boss wakes up in a bizarre new reality, a colorful 1950s sitcom called Leave It to the Saints. Here, the boss is still president, but everything feels just a little too perfect. They head downstairs into a smiling housewife making pancakes, then step outside to grab the morning paper. That's when the local sheriff suddenly appears, instantly insisting they go for a drive. The pair cruise through Main Street, waving at cheerful residents of Steelport. But the boss quickly begins to question what they're seeing. The wholesome facade starts to crack when they stub their toe, strike a pose for a picture, and enter a diner. Inside, a friendly stranger warps into a distorted mess, and the boss reacts the only way they know how, by swearing. But in this perfect world, even profanity gets censored. Suddenly, the whole town turns hostile. The boss fights his way out, jumping into a car and tearing through the streets. That's when Kenzie's voice cuts into their head, explaining the truth. This isn't reality at all. It's a simulation. She urges boss to break free, and the only way to do that is pure chaos. Armed with heavy weapons, the boss causes mayhem in the park, laying waste to simulated cops and even the sheriff himself. Their actions finally draw the attention of Zinyak, who reveals his control over this strange digital world.
I'm impressed.
Where the hell are... fuck me.
I should have realized a prison of peace would never hold a sociopath like yourself.
I'm more of a puckish rogue.
A rose by any other name.
Are you trying to kill me or sleep with me?
Charming.
See, there you go with those mixed messages again.
Then allow me to be perfectly clear. I am the architect of your reality. I build what I want. I destroy what I want. And your bravado means nothing. Fighting back is pointless, my friend. There's nowhere to run. You belong to me. Now, on to more pleasant things. I'm going to place you in your new home. Try to run again, and I'll destroy your pitiful planet. TTFN. My friends, each of you are guilty of crimes against the Zin Empire. But today is your lucky day. Today, you get to be a part of a new work release program. Swear your fealty, and I will empower you to be wardens of Simulation 31. You will have one purpose: torment the President of the United States. Beyond that, the world is yours to toy with. Ravage it, indulge in your basest desire. It makes no difference to me. Just leave the prisoner alive. I want them broken, not dead. Go now and tear their world asunder.
After being dropped into virtual Steelport, Kenzie patches herself into the audio system to guide the boss through the simulation. To start small, the boss buys a gun from Friendly Fire, only to be met by Zinyak Police Department, Zinyak's digital police force. After mowing down waves of officers and destroying a flashpoint, the boss escapes to Kenzie's inner sanctum. But here's the twist. Zinyak has completely wiped out any trace of the Saints within the simulation, rewriting the digital city as if it never happened. Kenzie explains that the only way forward is to master the simulation itself. She introduces Boss to data clusters, fragments of code scattered across Steelport that unlock new powers. Collecting enough of them grants the boss super sprint and super jump, and Kenzie builds a training simulation to test these abilities. From there, the boss begins blazing trials to push their super speed to the limit. Soon after, they dismantle a massive hotspot, a Zen workstation powering the simulation. But victory comes with a new challenge, the arrival of a warden. In an unmistakable Matrix homage, the boss defeats it by phasing inside and detonating it within, just like Neo versus Agent Smith. Zinyak takes notice, warning them of the consequences, but the boss doesn't slow down. Instead, they unlock yet another new ability, freezing enemies solid. With momentum building, Kenzie prepares the next step, breaking the boss out of the simulation completely. She constructs a digital gateway, a white door that will allow the boss's mind to return to their real body. The escape is jarring. The boss wakes up weak and sticky inside a pod, barely remembering how to walk after being suspended for so long. But there's no time to adjust. Fighting through Zen soldiers, the boss claws their way to a platform while Zinyak taunts them over the intercom, promising their rebellion will end in tragedy. Ignoring the threats, the boss pushes forward until they're rescued by Kenzie and Keith David, who extract them from the ship. Just when it seems like there's hope, the crew makes a horrifying discovery. Zinyak wasn't bluffing. As the Saints regroup into space, the alien tyrant makes good on his promise and annihilates the Earth in one devastating strike.
We're not really leaving the others, are we?
Hell no. But if we're taking the fight to Zinyak, we'll need all the help we can get. Kenzie, can you get in touch with Oleg?
Yeah, we should be in range.
Huh. I always thought Nightblade was just a vampire show.
Oh no, my friend. It is the essence of drama. Hey, you need to take that?
You know anyone with the 217 area code?
Is that St. Louis?
Probably telemarketer.
Oof. Ignore.
Voicemail?
You want me to leave a message? It's all gone.
Well, I'd say this was a productive day.
You're a fucking monster.
Oh, don't act surprised. I told you this would happen.
You killed 7 billion people.
Whoops.
We're done talking.
He's not getting away with this.
You're goddamn right he's not. Kenzie, can you use this thing to place me back in the simulation?
Yeah, I think I should be able...
Do it.
Wait, you want to go back in there? You can't kill Zinyak plugged into a computer.
I can kill a lot of people with a computer.
You? Sure. You need help setting the DVR.
If taking over a small part of the simulation led you to me, taking over the whole damn thing has to do something good.
You don't even know what will happen.
She probably does.
The president is right. Whenever the simulation is disrupted, I have a small window to work my way inside the Zen security network. The more it's disrupted, the more time I'll have to map out Zinyak's mothership. I can identify structural weakness, locate where they're keeping our friends.
And find Zinyak.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
When historians look back on the fall of the Zen Empire, this will be the defining moment. An act that was supposed to demoralize, galvanized, and a course was set that the Saints could never back down from. But even more monumental is this. If the Earth was not destroyed, pragmatism would have won over desperation, and the Saints would never have been reunited with the most dangerous man in all of history, Johnny Gat. But ever as always, I'm getting ahead of myself. Like all good stories, the second act begins with a call to action and the building of a robot.
With Earth gone, the Saints commit to taking the fight directly to Zinyak. The strategy? Wreak havoc inside the simulation, disrupting the Zen systems from within. The boss starts small by hacking stores, but things take a strange turn when they are contacted by a mysterious AI known as Sid. Sid introduces himself as a sentient program once imprisoned by the Zen. He explains that he can travel through the systems and keep his wrists open that destabilize Zinyak's control. At first, the boss doesn't trust him, but Sid insists he despises the Zen and has been stuck in the simulation for years. His body has long since died, but he survived by transferring his consciousness into the mainframe. Though he admits humans often break promises, He swears he can keep his own. After aiding the boss in closing a rift, Sid proves useful by unlocking a new elemental power, Fire Blast. Kenzie and the boss work on finding Sid a mobile body so he can help more directly. Once the transfer is complete, Kenzie asks who the boss wants to rescue first. To her shock, the boss chooses Matt Miller. Kenzie isn't thrilled with this plan, but the boss presses on. Protecting Sid during the upload process triggers another warden encounter, and this time the boss unlocks telekinesis, adding yet another overpowered ability to their arsenal. The mission to free Matt takes the boss into cyberspace, where Zinyak taunts him throughout. Eventually, the boss reaches an IO tower where Zinyak tempts him with a choice: abandon the fight to save countless prisoners, or continue forward to rescue Matt. The boss presses on, choosing loyalty to their crew. This leads to one of Saints Row 4's strangest moments: a text adventure. In it, Matt faces off against Killbane in a surreal wrestling match. With the right choices, Matt escapes his prison by answering a ringing phone, freeing him from Zinyak's grasp. Back on board the ship, the Saints share a quiet moment of normalcy, playing cards together while Matt tries to process his narrow escape.
I don't like the idea of us sitting around. Shouldn't we be picking up Matt? The kid could be in trouble.
Keith, you gotta relax. The guy's an MI6 agent, for God's sake. He can take care of himself.
You needed help getting out, and you're the commander-in-chief.
That's a really good point. Why didn't we think of this earlier?
Oh, I did. I'm just not a big fan of Matt.
Kenzie!
Come on! Can't I get some payback? Got a little lost, big deal.
Or he got a little dead, who knows?
Oh, he's fine. He's probably having the time of his life exploring Zinyak's ship.
After rescuing Matt, the boss and Kenzie argue about whether it was worth the risk. The boss eventually gets through to her, and Kenzie unveils something new: a full power armor suit. Outfitted with heavy weaponry, it gives the boss a massive boost in firepower as they storm the Zinyak ship to extract Miller. What follows is a high-octane firefight, with the boss blasting through Zen soldiers in an explosive escape sequence before finally bringing Miller back to the crew. With Matt secured, Kenzie reveals another target: a mysterious prison plane in the simulation. The boss immediately assumes it belongs to Johnny Gat, convinced their old friend is still alive. The rest of the team disagrees, believing it's tied to Shondi instead. Determined, the boss presses forward, infiltrating a memory that mirrors the infamous plane sequence from Saints Row 3. Once again, they're battling Morningstar enemies while fighting their way to save Gat. But when the boss finally reaches the door at the end of the plane, it's jammed shut. Over the intercom, Zinyak mocks them, claiming the Saints will never save Gat, that his death is permanent. In a cruel twist, it's revealed this prison cell doesn't belong to Gat at all. It's Shondi's. She's still consumed with grief over Gat's death and blames herself for not being able to stop it. Zinyak seizes the opportunity, ripping Shondi from her memory and plunging her into another nightmare. The boss follows, dropping into a nightclub where Shondi was once again being held hostage by none other than her smoked-out ex-boyfriend, Veteran Child. The shock isn't just a villain's return, it's the appearance of another Shondi, the carefree party girl from Saints Row 2. The two versions confront each other, forcing Shondi into a literal identity crisis. The two Shondi stand face to face, forced to reconcile the past with the present.
Remarkably calm right now.
Hey, sometimes your exes try to kill you. What can you do, you know? You want to party?
No, this isn't me.
Shondi, you okay?
This is getting weird.
Get out.
What's her problem?
My problem? My problem is that I used to be you.
This isn't a born-again thing, is it?
No, she's future you.
Makes sense. So what happens to me?
What do you mean?
Look, Shondi, let's get out of...
No. I want to hear what I have to say to myself. What did you mean, what happens to me?
Well, evidently I become a total frigid bitch, so I just wanted to know what's up.
Oh, you mean I stopped sitting around smoking drugs from a broken light bulb all day?
Guys, maybe we should...
Yeah, you're lame now. You used to have fun.
I used to be useless.
What?
The most memorable thing you ever did was get captured by your smoked out ex.
That's not true.
I'm sorry, and fucking half of Stillwater. Go team.
I always thought you were just really friendly and hated pants.
Someone gets it.
I hate me. Let's get out of here.
Next on the list is the face of the Saints, Pierce Washington. The boss dives into Pierce's simulation, which takes place in the familiar Saints penthouse from the third. But things quickly take a bizarre turn. Pierce is under siege from an army of living Saints flow cans. Together, the two load up on weapons and blast through wave after wave of soda-themed enemies. The madness escalates when the true boss of the simulation appears. Paul, a giant walking can of Saints flow. Rocket launchers barely make a dent, but Kinsey comes up with a plan. She outfits the boss with control of the giant statue Joe Magnarak, turning the battle into a kanji fight. In one of the most over-the-top moments, the boss uses the statue's massive ladle to smack Paul around before finally popping his top, transforming him into a toppled monument. With the fight over, Pierce finally learns the truth, that Earth has been destroyed. The news devastates him, but he joins the Saints aboard the ship to keep fighting. From there, the boss moves on to Ben King. His simulation recreates a pivotal moment from Saints Row 1, where the protagonist, or shall I say player, is first pulled into the gang wars of Stillwater. Only this time, instead of the rollers, King's own Vice Kings are the enemies. The boss fights their way to the old church, cutting through waves of gang members before discovering a grim sight inside. Memorials of fallen friends and past battles. At the heart of it all, Ben King confronts the boss with a gun, convinced he's trapped in a nightmare where Tanya and Big Tony are constantly trying to kill him. The boss reminds King that none of this is real, but the two argue their way forward to finish what was started years ago. Together, they hunt down Tanya and Tony one last time, bringing an end to King's torment. With his demons put to rest, King shares a final exchange with the boss before breaking free from the simulation and rejoining the Saints.
So what's the situation look like out there? It's bad. Why do I have a feeling that's a big understatement? You know me too well. We have a plan? Kind of. Kind of? We're getting the band back together and then we're gonna kill Zinyak. That's not a plan, that's a goal. What, you got a better one? Kinsey, you listening?
Yeah.
I want to turn this whole simulation off. You think you can do that?
With my help, she can.
I don't need your help.
Yes, you do. That's why you saved me first.
You saved Matt before me? Brilliant computer hacker, record mogul. Experience with virtual worlds, experience with street games. My experience is empire building. Empire building? I'm sorry, who became fucking president of the United States? Who's the person that the fucking president of the United States asked to run their cabinet because they were way over their head? I was not in over my head. True or false? You called me at 3 in the morning asking me to run your election because you weren't polling for shit. There's some fine points you're glossing over there, buddy. You're right. You weren't asking me, you were begging me.
Are you two finished yet?
Keith, have you been watching the whole time?
Yeah. And I'm just throwing this out there. I think there's only a passing similarity between me and Julius.
Whatever, you're like the same person.
How many of you guys are listening in on us?
All of us?
Let's not fight in front of the kids. Do you seriously have a plan? I do. Work it out with Kinsey and Matt and fill me in when we can execute. You got it.
All right, I'm killing your connection, Benjamin. We'll see you soon.
Hey, King. You really hate that you end up in second place, don't you? Yeah.
Next up on the rescue list is Asha. The boss enters her simulation suited up in a full stealth suit, ready for a mission of pure tactical espionage action. Asha storms in, guns blazing, and the two immediately clash in their usual back and forth banter. When the boss takes out a bartender and unlocks a secret passage, Asha leads them deeper into the mission, explaining her objective: eliminate the mysterious Mr. X, an enemy revealed to be the boss's own evil twin. From here, the game dives headfirst into parody. The simulation borrows heavily from Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, with the boss hiding in cardboard boxes, shooting out lights, and sneaking past guards. Asha takes the whole mission dead seriously, while the boss leans into the absurdity, making the sequence one of the funniest stealth spoofs in the series. Eventually, the boss comes face to face with Mr. X, complete with an eye patch and a villainous monologue. Mr. X taunts the boss and even staging a scene where Matt Miller is executed in front of them. Pushing through waves of enemies, the boss and Asha track him down in the final showdown. The battle ends with the boss killing their so-called twin, ending the charade once and for all. With the fight over, Asha acknowledges the boss's role in helping her overcome her simulation, and the two reconcile before she finally breaks free.
Well, we killed me.
Yeah, we did.
You smoke?
I do now.
Evil me was kind of an asshole.
Good you is kind of an asshole.
Blame my parents.
Daddy issues?
Nah, just forget it.
Oh, don't like talking about your past.
Don't see the point. Who cares what I did before I joined the Saints?
Aren't you going to ask me about mine?
I thought we were killing evil clones, not picking out place settings.
Should probably get out of here.
Once more for old time's sake?
Why not?
After Asha's rescue, Kinsey reveals something no one thought possible. She's located Johnny Gat. The announcement sparks immediate conflict on the ship. As the boss prepares to enter Gat's simulation, Matt Miller speaks up, insisting it's too dangerous and not worth the risk. The boss snaps, brutally beating Matt Miller until Ben King physically pulls him apart. Asha jumps in on Miller's side, only for Pierce to defend the boss, which earns him a clean chin check from Sasha. The brawl only stops when Shawnee steps in, reminding everyone it's supposed to be on the same side. As Tipper's cool, Kinsey warns the boss that the mission could expose their ship's location and that saving Gat is a gamble that might cost them everything. She gets through to the boss, and boss finally apologizes to Matt Miller. In a surprising turn, Matt accepts, framing his way of forgiving the boss for sparing him back in Stillport. With the air cleared, the boss dives into Gat's mind. Here, the game switches genres into a retro beat-em-up called Saints of Rage. The boss and Gat fight their way through waves of Ice Kings, even squaring off against Warren Williams before facing off with the Ronin. The simulation recreates one of the series' most emotional moments, Aisha's death at the hands of Junichi. This time, Kinsey resets the simulation in time to save Aisha, giving Gat the closure he never got. Together, he and the boss defeat Junichi once and for all. Back in the real world, Boss suits up in a powered armor suit and storms Zinyak ship to recover Gat's body. Fighting through Zen forces, they finally reach the pod and free Johnny Gat, who reveals the truth about what happened on the plane during Saints Row III. After years of speculation, the legend is finally back.
Johnny, what the hell happened?
So I'm in the plane doing my thing.
Johnny, we're about to jump! Right on! I'll see you in Stillwater!
Rather. It would seem your reputation doesn't do you justice.
Earth's most passant warrior?
That's what he called me.
You're telling me he abducted you years before his invasion because he thought you single-handedly could stop him?
Yeah.
That's so fucking awesome.
You realize that means Zinyak's more afraid of him than you, right?
Shit.
Johnny, go back to the part about the meat shield.
Guys, don't take this the wrong way, but I spent years living in the past. I'm ready for the future.
Good. Because if we're going to pull off King's plan, we're going to need all the help we can get.
Back in the simulation, the boss heads to the Broken Shillelagh to test out a new move carried over from Saints of Rage, the devastating Death from Above. After running through Kinsey's training program, the Saints regroup to put Ben's plan into action. At Kinsey's hideout inside the simulation, the boss, Gat, Kinsey, and King are laying out strategies when Matt Miller rushes in with Shawnee and Asha. Their news isn't good. The Zen have found the hideout and are launching a full-scale invasion. The Saints split up to survive the assault. While Matt and Asha fight elsewhere, the boss, Gat, Kinsey, and both Shawnees make a break for the roof. They pile into a helicopter, providing cover fire as Pierce and King escape below a convoy. The plan works. Pierce and King get away, but the chopper doesn't make it. The Saints are forced to eject, crash landing straight into one of Professor Genki's deadly arenas. There, the Zen soldiers pour in while Kinsey frantically hacks the system. The crew clears the area, but just when it looks like they'll make it out, Zinyak appears and abducts Kinsey right in front of him. The crisis only escalates when Shondi calls in an emergency from the real world. The Zen have invaded the ship. King and Pierce are knocked unconscious, while Asha, Miller, and Keith David are nowhere to be found. The remaining Saints grab weapons and fight their way through the alien boarding party in one of the game's most chaotic shootouts. The boss eventually infiltrates the enemy ship, planting bombs throughout to ensure its destruction before returning to regroup. When the dust settles, the Saints piece together the ugly truth. Someone set them up. All signs point to a shocking betrayal from within.
God damn it! What happened?
MI6 fucked us.
I knew it! Asha had it out for me since jump. She talked shit in Pakistan, she sucker punched me here.
I believe Miller had me fooled. To think I actually apologized.
He's probably been working this angle for a while. Hell, he might have even been the one who tipped off Zinyak about Johnny.
Doubt it.
Dante said that the lowest circle of hell was reserved for betrayers. But it's important to remember that it's the storyteller who decides who the hero is, not morality. But while philosophers will spend years debating the ethics of the Kinsey Gambit, the Saints had a less charitable view.
Keith David is a dead man.
Now coming to his senses, Keith David holds a rally, and the boss plans to crash it. On stage, Keith delivers a fiery speech, bad-mouthing both the boss and Zinyak. When the boss arrives, Keith reveals the real hook. If he kills the boss, Zinyak had promised to restore Earth. The crowd instantly turns hostile, forcing the boss to fight their way through waves of enraged citizens. After cutting down the mob, the boss battles through the building and confronts Keith directly. Inside his office, the boss is ambushed by Zen guards, but in a sudden twist, Keith turns on Zinyak and guns down the aliens. Their moment of unity doesn't last. Zinyak appears and traps both of them inside another simulation. This one recreates a cult classic movie, They Live, with Keith David squaring off against a wrestling legend, Roddy Piper. When Keith flees, the boss teams up with Piper to take on swarms of aliens, eventually disabling a rooftop satellite using Keith's mind. The scene ends with Piper beating down Keith, but not before the boss learns the location of Kinsey. To track her down, the boss turns to Sid, who begins to unravel under the strain. Following him through the town, they uncover a secret room revealed by a white rabbit. Inside is a map of the simulation, pinpointing Kinsey's position. The boss dives back into a 1950 world to find her. At first, she appears in a suburban home, but this Kinsey is just a decoy. A chase leads to another decoy riding in a police car, who hints at the boss must head to the town square. There, the simulation drives into another twist. Cyrus Temple has returned as mayor, hosting his own propaganda rally. The boss sabotages his plans by reprogramming speakers to drown out his speech with 1950s music. Midway through, Matt surprises the boss with the iconic dubstep gun, which they use to blast away propaganda trucks. Once the last speaker is hacked, the boss reaches the stage to find the real Kinsey dressed in a poodle skirt, dazed and passive. The reprogramming glitches the crowd, forcing everyone, even Kinsey, to dance. Enraged, Cyrus loses control and attacks. Matt reskins the dubstep gun into a new pop version, giving the boss the firepower to finally take Cyrus down. With the fight over, the boss frees Kinsey and the two escape back into the real world.
Kinsey, you're okay.
You don't tell anyone what you saw. Do you understand me?
Kinsey, it really wasn't all that.
I said anyone.
Hey, you got it. Just saying it was a cute poodle skirt.
With Kinsey back on the team, she and Ben revealed the master plan. They figured out how to overload the simulation completely. To build the key, Kinsey explains they'll need a CPU, 6 memory modules, and 6 gravity inhibitors. Gat and the boss head out together, blasting through Zen forces, dismantling their force shields, and collecting the critical components with Shondi covering their backs. With the hardware secured, the Saints still need a power source. That's when Sid comes in along with the Saints Row 2 version of Shandy. While the boss gathers 3 massive batteries to fuel the device, Sid and classic Shandy hilariously decide to treat the errand like a date, sneaking off to a hookah bar while the boss shoulders the real work. Once the batteries are dropped off, the device is finally complete. With everything in place, the moment calls for tradition. The boss delivers the iconic Benjamin King speech, an empowering rally cry that has echoed across the franchise since the very beginning of Saints Row. It's the final push uniting the Saints before their decisive battle with Zinyak.
I know over the years you've heard this speech a bunch of times.
Heard it? Bitch, I wrote it.
But we need to remember why we do what we do. And today the stakes are even higher. Earth is gone. It's not coming back, and nothing we do today is gonna change that. But one thing we can do is get revenge. And you better believe we're showing this motherfucker humanity isn't dead because we're still alive. This isn't about hope or faith or even about winning. Kenzie's right. Those things died on Earth. This is about will. This is about saying, I don't give a shit how many times you knock me down. If I'm still breathing, I'm standing right back up. And you know what? You can hit as hard as you want, because when I hit back, I'm gonna lay your ass out, bitch! It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
With the Saints ready for their final strike, the boss organizes 3 teams. The first will deliver the key to the mainframe, the second will overload the simulation, and the third will push the boss straight into Zinyak's throne room. The operation begins at the Old Syndicate Tower, the central hub of the simulation, protecting the key as it's transported through the city. The boss faces constant Zen resistance. Just as they approach the tower, Zinyak deletes the transport truck entirely, forcing the boss to use telekinesis to carry the key the rest of the way. At the tower's entrance, Sid hacks into the system, opening a rift. Together with the boss, he ensures the key is inserted, disrupting the framework. The simulation begins to collapse, crashing so hard it even boosts players back into the Saints Row 1 title screen. A clever callback that underlines how far the series has come. Now comes the final phase, the assault on Zinyak's ship. Deep within the armory, the boss discovers a power suit capable of channeling their superpowers in the real world. Suiting up, they free-fall through the ship's core, crashing into the throne room where Zinyak awaits. The alien emperor greets them with one last speech, declaring that all of his empire is watching this showdown. What follows is the ultimate battle, power suit versus power suit. The fight is cinematic, destructive, and larger than life, finally ending with the boss ripping Zinyak's head clean from his shoulders just as they promised, looking like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. With Zinyak defeated, the boss takes his throne, crowned as the new emperor of the Zen. But the story doesn't end there. Zenjai, Zinyak's assistant, appears and hints that time travel might be possible, opening the door to an even bigger future. The game closes in true Saints Row fashion, the crew celebrating in a Soul Train line to "This is how we do it," though sadly we can't play that track here. In the post-credit scene, we learn that Zinyak had abducted cultural figures throughout time before Earth's destruction, and in one final twist, the mysterious narrator of the entire story is revealed to be none other than Jane Austen herself.
Keep what you kill. It's a classic.
So do I get a manservant or what?
Excellency, I'm Zinjai, your personal steward.
All right, CJ, I need you to level with me. How technologically advanced are the Zen?
In our experience, we are the most advanced culture in the known universe.
Zinyak told a friend of mine that he could restore Earth. Was he lying?
A half-truth, Your Excellency. Earth has been atomized. There is no undoing that. However, time travel would allow you to see Earth again before its destruction.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Time travel?
Zinyak was fascinated with Earth culture. He made it a point to go back and build a menagerie of his favorite humans.
Don't tease me, Your Excellency.
Let's go on a field trip.
When the novelty of shaping history wore off, the Saints remembered the words of Xinjai.
Is this all of them?
It's hard to say, Your Excellency. Zinyak was a long-time collector.
And that, my friends, is how I first met the Saints.
Saints Row 4 is truly amazing, but not in the way you might expect. The narrative moves at a fast pace, sometimes feeling like it's lost its identity, only to replace it with an entirely new one. For years, Saints Row has been seen as the franchise that lampooned Grand Theft Auto, but here it evolves beyond that. Instead of just parodying GTA, the game lampoons stealth titles, arcade classics like Space Invaders, and even beat-em-ups like Streets of Rage. What makes it remarkable is that all of this was boiled into one cohesive package, despite starting life as nothing more than a planned DLC. Taken on its own, the story isn't the most structurally solid, but when you peel back the layers, you see something else, a surprising amount of love for the franchise itself. Saints Row 4 brings back Benjamin King, Johnny Gat, and even Julius, fan favorites who returned. Feels like a love letter to longtime players. On top of that, iconic enemies and allies resurface, from Veteran Child to Mero to Tanya. The only drawback, as with every entry in Saints Row 2, is the absence of two other iconic characters who could have deepened the long-term narrative. Where Saints Row arguably surpasses Grand Theft Auto is in lore. Throughout the series, you get pieces of the bigger picture, and eventually those threads connect. Even the smallest details matter. For example, in Kinsey's warehouse in the third, posters can be spotted hinting at an alien invasion. At the time, it felt like a joke, but in Saints Row 4, that invasion finally happens. It's a testament to the series' layer of long-time storytelling, where even a throwaway detail becomes a part of the bigger mythos. And moments like Shaundi recalling Kinsey's warnings and later seeing the Zen for himself underline that intelligence, providing the Saints' world was always building towards this point.
I think we have a problem.
No, not you two. How many times do I have
Asha and Miller are waiting for you in the Oval Office.
If MI6 needed something, they would send it up the chain, not fly across an ocean.
They said nobody back home believes them.
Jesus, what's going on?
They think we're about to be attacked by aliens.
I gotta go.
This is serious. You know that Kinsey's been saying the same thing.
When did you start taking Kinsey seriously?
When the people who helped us save the world said we should.
What's truly fascinating about Saints Row 4's story is that for the first time in the series, we see the Saints not just as over-the-top criminals or heroes, but as people wrestling with their own mental states. Across the first 3 games, the Saints grew from gangsters to moguls to political leaders, with the boss even becoming commander-in-chief. But while the world revolved around their rise to power, we never stopped to consider what was happening inside their heads. Zinyak simulations changed that. By trapping each Saint in their own personal hell, the story forces them and us to confront their hidden fears and insecurities. These sequences are more than just parodies. They're windows into who the characters really are. Pierce, for example, is reduced to fighting a giant can of Saints Flow. An absurd scenario, but one that reflects his struggles with identity as the face of the Saints, forever tied to branding and image. The most striking of these, though, is Shaundi's nightmare. In Saints Row the Third, we saw a more hardened, intense Shaundi, who often clashed with the Saints' over-the-top antics. Here, we finally understand why. Her simulation reveals the guilt she carries over Johnny Gat's death, blaming herself for not saving him. Beneath her tough exterior, she's grieving, fractured, and full of self-blame. It's one of the rare moments where Saints Row 4 cuts through comedy to deliver something raw and emotional, giving depth to a character who might otherwise have been lost in the chaos.
Johnny, I let you down. I let us all down. We never should have ran. We should have stayed and fought, but we couldn't because... We couldn't because of me. And I know people say it's not my fault, but if the boss didn't have to protect me, you would be standing here right now. I'm so sorry, John.
It wasn't your fault.
We left him to die.
You didn't save our lives so we could feel sorry for ourselves.
One of the most compelling aspects of Saints Row 4 is Shaundi identity crisis. We see her older, hardened self come face to face with the carefree party girl from Saints Row 2. Shaundi despises that version of herself, but that hatred is revealing. It forces players to reflect on just how drastically the character has changed over the years. Watching her confront and eventually reconcile with that younger self is shocking, but also deeply satisfying. It's rare for a series this chaotic to dig into character development that personal. Benjamin King's Nightmare is another standout, though it also highlights a small continuity issue. In Gat's simulation, he ends up fighting Warren Williams, even though Gat never really clashed with him. Instead, Gat's big Vice King's conflict was with Big Tony in the first game. Yet, oddly enough, Big Tony appears in King's Nightmare alongside Tanya when logically Warren should have been there since he and Tanya betrayed King back in the first game. It doesn't break the experience, but it's a small crack in an otherwise tight web of callbacks. What matters more, though, is how these nightmares show the Saints' growth. The boss is still the same foul-mouthed anti-hero, but here we see flashes of the Saints Row 2 boss, still funny, but willing to take a bullet for their crew without hesitation. Shaundi learns to trust Kinzie. Kinzie forgives Matt Miller. Ben King apologizes to Gat for once having his leg shot. It's subtle, but you feel it. The Saints are healing, because they have to. With the Earth gone, they are literally all that's left.
Feels weird not being in a shitty sports bar.
We could always name the ship the Broken Shillelagh.
Not funny.
Kinzie, relax.
Doing my best.
Look, if you're worried about me going brain dead, I figure it's part of the deal.
You have to say something.
What aren't you telling me?
Thanks, Matt.
Kinzie?
It's not you she's worried about. It's everyone else.
Oh, this is gonna get real exciting.
It doesn't matter.
I have a feeling we're about to disagree.
Saving Gat is a terrible idea.
The fuck's got into you?
You're out of line!
Boss don't answer to you, honey. Bitch, you lucky we're standing in front of Keith David or...
Stop it! He's right, okay? It's a terrible idea. In order to save Johnny, we have to tap directly from our ship into his mind, and that means Zinyak's going to know exactly where we are. You're asking Matt and I to paint a target on humanity's last chance so that you can go rescue someone we've never even met. And what's even stupider is that we're going along with it. That guy you just beat the shit out of is risking everything to save your friend. And you want to know why? Because we can't save ours anymore. Oleg is dead. Viola is dead. Earth is dead. So how about you stop being a fucking asshole and say thank you for giving us the hope you'll never have?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you could have killed me back in Steelport, but you let me go. I can forgive a few punches.
Okay then, get in the chair.
Hey, boss, what you think Gat's mind is like?
No idea. But if I had to bet, I'd say either a shooting gallery or a freckle bitches.
The depth doesn't just stop there. Through callbacks like audio logs scattered throughout the game, players can learn even more what the Saints have endured and how they see themselves. These hidden pieces of lore reveal insecurities, regrets, and private thoughts, fleshing out characters who could have easily been reduced to comic relief in a superhero sandbox. Instead, they feel human, layered, and connected to the larger story in ways that reward players who take the time to listen.
Aisha's death, it hit me really hard. I thought I'd made peace with it, but Zinyak's fucking simulated hell took its toll. Yeah, I know the whole point was that I'd never be able to save her, but that shit would never stop me from trying. The boss didn't show up to help. I don't know how much longer I could have kept it together.
Ever since that night on Loren's plane, things haven't been the same. I used to be fun and carefree. I used to smile and laugh. Now I just want everyone to pay for what the Syndicate did. Johnny didn't deserve to die like that. He was the toughest person I knew. And it's my fault. I should have gone back for her.
Oleg is one of the best things that ever happened to me, and right now it feels like the worst. I'm up here trying to save us from captivity and psychological torture, and all I can think about is him. He's the only one who ever truly understood what I was saying. I never thought I'd meet someone with an intelligence nearly matching my own who made me feel like I wasn't constantly missing something in my life. Now I am. Now I miss him.
I don't regret much. You make your choices, you live with them. But if I could take anything back, it would be the way things ended up with Angela. It was all fun and games for her. She wanted to be just like Benjamin. I shouldn't have let her get in so deep.
The deeper you dig into Saints Row 4, the more you uncover how much care went into honoring the series. We finally get insight into Julius's betrayal of the Saints as well as Meryl's mindset from Saints Row 2, peeling back layers that were never fully explored in the mainline games. And then there's Benjamin King. For years, the iconic rallying speech, "Everyone listen up," has echoed throughout the franchise, reused beat for beat as the Saints' ultimate call to arms. But here, the game makes it clear, that speech was King's all along. It's a subtle but powerful way of giving him his flowers, cementing his role as one of the true architects of the Saints' identity. In a way, Saints Row 4 also closed the door on an old narrative thread. For years, the Saints were teased as a little more than Purple Vice Kings, a gang forever in someone else's shadow. This game breaks that line completely by blending nostalgia and absurd mythology, one born from both chaos and love. Beneath the superhero spectacle and alien invasions, Saints Row 4 is a tribute to the series itself and to the fans who stayed along for the ride.
I know over the years you've heard this speech a bunch of times. Heard it? Bitch, I wrote it.
Everybody listen up. We got some serious shit to discuss.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss.
Shaundi, you got the Sons of Samdi.
It's gotta be them.
Fuck you say?
Troy, you dealing with the Vice Kings.
Not a chance.
Fuck you say?
Once we're done here, talk to one of these guys. I have something for you to do.
Once we're done here, go talk to one of these guys. They'll have something for you to do.
It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
Talk to one of these guys, they'll have things for you to do. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
The boss's journey across the Saints Row series is one of the most drastic transformations in gaming. In the first game, the character was literally silent, more of an avatar of chaos than a defined personality. By Saints Row 2, the boss found their voice, sarcastic, ruthless, but fiercely loyal to the Saints. This version of the character balanced humor with brutality, cracking jokes one moment and miraculously dismantling rival gangs in the next. As the series evolved, so did the boss, shifting from underdog gangster to celebrity kingpin in the third, where they were no longer just running Stillwater. They were cultural icons with their faces plastered across billboards and cans of Saints Flow. Saints Row 4 takes that arc to its most exaggerated conclusion. The boss is now president of the United States. It's a ridiculous leap, but it also makes sense when you consider how the Saints were always about rising higher and higher, no matter how absurd the climb. Yet what's striking in this game is, for all the power and comedy, we see glimpses of the old boss from Saints Row 2. The one who could laugh at a situation, but also take a bullet for their crew without hesitation. Whether it's risking their life on a nuclear missile, diving into simulations to rescue allies, or ripping Zinniac's head clean off his body, the boss's loyalty to the Saints is unshakable. In a broader sense, the boss's growth mirrors the evolution of the series itself. From silent player avatar to fully voiced character, From street-level crime drama to superhero parody, the boss has been the anchor through it all. By the time they sit on Zinniak's throne as Emperor of the Zen, the transformation is complete. The once nameless recruit has become a leader of worlds. The journey from gangbanger to president isn't just absurd. It's symbolic of how Saints Row grew beyond Grand Theft Auto Shadow, carving its own identity through the sheer force of the boss's personality.
This is a problem.
It's not a problem.
You alienated part of America.
I alienated crazy people.
You couldn't resist, could you?
Jesus, not you two.
This is a problem.
I keep trying to explain that, but the president won't listen.
Poverty is a problem. Apartheid is a problem. This is just a couple of...
Here's the latest approval poll.
We lost 20 points. We can get them back.
They're at 20 points.
I'll admit that's a little lower than anticipated.
So you agree you have a problem?
Nope, you do. You're the communications director. Fix this.
Can you give me 100% employment?
No.
Will you get married?
Fuck no.
Then I think we're in trouble.
King, can you have this naysayer assassinated?
Not when you say it publicly.
What more fun as a gang leader?
We have a country to run. Fun isn't part of the equation.
Where's a septic truck when you need one?
Shaundi's growth across the series is one of the most striking transformations in Saints Row. Introduced in the second game as a laid-back stoner girl with dreadlocks, she represented the free-spirited, hippie side of the Saints. By the third, she had completely reinvented herself, tough, focused, and at times brutally serious. The shift was so dramatic that she became a pop culture icon, embellic of the Saints' rise from gangsters to global celebrities. By the time of the fourth game, she had risen to one of the highest positions imaginable, Director of the Secret Service, standing alongside the boss as they ran the country. But behind that rise, Saints Row 4 reveals the weight Shaundi still carries. In her personal nightmare, she's forced to relive Johnny Gat's death, and we finally see just how much she blames herself for not saving him. Beneath her hardened, no-nonsense persona is a deep grief and guilt, a vulnerability that had only been hinted at before. Her conversations with Gat later in the game reinforce this. She admits she's terrified of watching him die again, a fear that explains her intensity in the third. The grief shows that for all her growth, Shaundi is still haunted by the Saints' past. Her most fascinating conflict, however, comes when she meets Fun Shaundi, the younger version of herself from the second game. Shaundi despises this version of herself, seeing her past as an embarrassment, even an abomination. To her, Fun Shaundi is nothing more than a reminder of being captured by a veteran child. This clash isn't just about identity, it's about self-acceptance. For Shaundi, reconciling with her past means acknowledging that she can be both versions, the carefree girl and the hardened leader. By the end, as the two Shaundis begin to work together, we see her journey come full circle. She's not just grieving Gat or proving herself as a leader. She's finally facing who she was and learning to accept every piece of herself.
Remarkably calm right now.
Hey, sometimes your exes try to kill you. What can you do, you know? You want to party?
No, this isn't me.
Shaundi, you okay?
This is getting weird.
Get out.
What's her problem?
My problem? My problem is that I used to be you.
This isn't a born-again thing, is it?
No, she's future you.
Makes sense. So what happens to me?
What do you mean?
Look, Shaundi, let's get out
No. I want to hear what I have to say to myself. What did you mean, what happens to me?
Well, evidently I become a total frigid bitch, so I just wanted to know what's up.
Oh, you mean I stopped sitting around smoking drugs from a broken light bulb all day?
Guys, maybe we should...
Yeah, you're lame now. You used to have fun.
I used to be useless.
What?
The most memorable thing you ever did was get captured by your smoked out ex.
That's not true.
I'm sorry, and fucking half of Stillwater. Go team.
I always thought you were just really friendly and hated pants.
Someone gets it.
I hate me. Let's get out of here.
Pierce has always been one of the most charismatic members of the Saints, but growth across the series shows how much he embodies the group's shift from street-level gangsters to cultural icons. Introduced in Saints Row 2 as the strategist and the voice of reason, Pierce often clashed with the more aggressive personalities, but proved invaluable in keeping the Saints together. By the third, he leaned heavily into the group's new fame, becoming the face of their commercials, their branding, and of course, even the present Saints flow. By the fourth, that identity has carried him all the way to becoming the Saints communications director in the White House, the perfect role for someone who always understood how the Saints looked to the outside world. His nightmare prison, though, shows the darker side of that transformation. Trapped in a world where endless cans of Saints Flow attack him, Pierce is literally haunted by the consumerism he helped build. The presence of Paul, the massive walking Saints Flow can, is the ultimate parody of how far the brand has consumed his identity. The same marketing empire that made the Saints household names also stripped away Pierce's roots as a gangster, leaving him defined by more products than street credibility. In a way, Paul represents Pierce's fear that his legacy isn't tied to his leadership or loyalty, but to a soda can. And yet, Pierce's role in Saints Row 4 is still vital. His sarcasm and level-headedness ground the team, even in the middle of an alien invasion and superhero powers. The fact that his nightmare is rooted in consumerism rather than betrayal or loss says a lot about who Pierce is. He's not haunted by violence, but by the image he projects. Ultimately, the battle with Pierce is both absurd and meaningful. It shows how far Pierce has gone in shaping the Saints as icons, and how much that responsibility weighs on him.
That's just kind of fucked up.
You ready to get out of here?
Yeah, can't wait to get back to Earth.
Right, forgot to tell you, Earth got blown up.
Kinsey's growth from a disgraced FBI agent in the third to one of the most essential Saints in the fourth is nothing short of remarkable. Originally written off as an awkward and socially standoffish, Kinsey found her home with the Saints, where her talents were not only appreciated but indispensable. In the third, her hacking, surveillance, and deductive skills gave the Saints an edge over their enemies. By the fourth, those qualities are magnified. While the boss might be the president and muscle, it's Kinsey's brains that keeps the Saints alive. In many ways, Kinsey is the unsung hero of this game. She predicts the alien invasion long before it happens, a detail foreshadowed as early as her warehouse in the third, where posters hint at extraterrestrial threats. When Zinyak captures the Saints, it's Kinsey who explains the truth of the simulations, who arms the boss with weapons, and who finds a way to destabilize the Zen systems. Without her, the Saints wouldn't just be trapped, they'd be finished. The fourth is the ultimate proof that brains can beat brawn, as Kinsey matches Zinyak's empire not with firepower, but with intellect and persistence. But her growth isn't just professional. It's personal. Kinsey has to confront her own past and her bitterness towards Matt Miller, the former Deckers leader she despised in the third. Through the events of the fourth, she learns to accept him as an ally, even forgiving him in a way that speaks to her own maturity. Her capture and 1950 simulation further highlight her vulnerability, yet also her resilience. She survives humiliation, manipulation, and fear, and it comes out sharper than ever. By the end of the game, Kinsey isn't just a tech girl in the background. She's one of the Saints' most beloved members, a true fan favorite who proves that intelligence, determination, and a little sarcasm can save the world.
First, I told the FBI. Then I told the Saints. Then I told the President and the entire Secret Service, and still they wouldn't listen. Now here we are, abducted by aliens and trapped in technology far beyond what we had on Earth. You know, if I'd only got the budget for my planetary defense system, we wouldn't be stuck up here dealing with the Zin. I mean, it would only have cost $3.1 billion. Hey, I tried to warn the military, but they didn't want to listen to the press secretary.
Keith David's inclusion in the fourth is one of the game's most surreal and entertaining choices. Known in the real world as a celebrated actor with a voice instantly recognizable to fans of theater, film, and games, Keith David enters the Saints universe as himself, stepping into the role of Vice President of the United States under the boss. By this point, the Saints had gone from a street gang to a political machine, so the decision to make a Hollywood icon their running mate perfectly captured the absurd escalation the series had become known for. From the opening hours, Keith represents not just political power, but a tongue-in-cheek blending of fiction and reality. His arc in the fourth, however, goes far beyond cameo status. When Zinyak offers to restore Earth if Keith betrays the Saints, he accepts, leading to one of the game's most pivotal moments. the Zen ambush of the ship and Kenzie's abduction, Keith becomes president for life inside his simulation, loudly supporting Zinyak while plotting against the Saints. But what makes his betrayal interesting is that it isn't just written off as cartoon villainy. It's tied to his doubts, insecurities, and frustrations with the boss's leadership, as hinted in his audio logs. In a way, Keith represents the tension between loyalty and ambition, showing how even the Saints' closest allies can waver even when given the promise of power. His redemption is equally bizarre and memorable, as Zinyak forces him into a nightmare pulled straight from the cult classic film They Live. Teaming up with Roddy Piper, Keith has to literally get beat into confronting his choices. It's absurd parody, but it also underlines his weakness and the need for guidance. Though Keith never fully reclaims a central role after his rescue, his presence lingered as a reminder of how fragile trust can be, even in a crew as tight-knit as the Saints. His inclusion may have been comedic, but Keith Davis' arc added both humor and tension to Saints Row 4, while cementing the game's reputation for blending pop culture parody with character-driven storytelling.
I know where they're keeping Kinsey.
Keith, we had a deal, my friend. Now what am I supposed to do with a naughty little boy like you?
Enjoy your requiem, Mr. Date.
Johnny Gat has always been the soul of the Saints, the one character who embodied both their recklessness and their loyalty. From the very first game, Gat was a fan favorite, sarcastic, fearless, and unshakably devoted to Aisha and the Saints' cause. Through Saints Row 2, he endured prison, betrayal, and hospital stays, but always came back swinging. By the third, Gat had become larger than life, his reputation so iconic that his apparent death on the airplane cemented the emotional weight of the Saints' story. His absence left a hole in the crew, a reminder that beneath the glitz-saying parody, loss was still real in this world. Saints Row 4 brings Gat back in one of the most dramatic ways possible, trapped inside a nightmare simulation that forces him to relive his battles with the Ronin and Vice Kings, and most painfully, Aisha's death. For a man who never stopped carrying that grief, Zinyak's torture cuts deeper than any physical blow. Watching Aisha's murder replayed is brutal, a cruel reminder that Gat's toughness has always been matched by his heartbreak. The simulation exposes how the past still defines him. Every gang war, every betrayal, every loss is etched into his identity. For fans, it's not just a callback, it's a chance to see Gat's vulnerability hidden beneath his swagger. Yet, Gat's return also reinforces why he's indispensable to the Saints. Even while haunted by the past, he remains the same razor-sharp, fearless fighter ready to take the fight to Zinyak with the boss at his side. His survival against all odds is symbolic of the Saints themselves. No matter how much chaos, loss, or parody surrounds them, they endure. Gat may be forced to confront his demons in the fourth, but his resilience is what makes him timeless. He's more than a sidekick. He's the beating heart of the Saints, and bringing him back gave the crew and the fans the closure they've been waiting for.
Yes. Shiny, what the hell happened?
So I'm in the plane doing my thing.
Johnny, we're about to jump!
Right on. I'll see you in Stillwater.
Rather. It would seem your reputation doesn't do you justice.
Earth's most passant warrior?
That's what he called me.
You're telling me he abducted you years before his invasion because he thought you single-handedly could stop him?
Yeah.
That's so fucking awesome.
You realize that means Zinyak's more afraid of him than you, right?
Shit.
Johnny, go back to the part about the meat shield.
Guys, don't take this the wrong way, but I spent years living in the past. I'm ready for the future.
Good. Because if we're going to pull off King's plan, we're going to need all the help we can get.
Ben King has always been one of the most layered characters in the Saints Row universe. Back in the original game, he stood as the leader of the Vice Kings, more patient, strategic, and level-headed than lieutenants like Warren or Tony. But undone by Tanya's manipulations, his eventual betrayal at the hands of his own people made him one of the few figures in Stillwater who carry both authority and tragedy. By the fourth, King has long since left the gangster life behind, writing a memoir and even seeing his story adapted into a film. When the boss ascends to the presidency, King returns as chief of staff, a role that finally reflects his intelligence and leadership in a more legitimate world. His nightmare prison, though, drags him back into the cycle of betrayal that defines his past. Forced to relive Tanya and Anthony turning on him over and over, King is trapped in a simulation built around his greatest failure. It's both cruel and fitting. Even after he moved on from gang life, the weight of those betrayals never left him. The boss's intervention not only frees King physically, but also symbolically, proving that he's more than just his past. His exasperated response, "That's not a plan, that's a goal," shows his pragmatic side. The same Ben King who always thought 3 steps ahead while others chased chaos. Outside the story itself, King's return carries another layer of significance. Originally, he was voiced by the late, great Michael Clark Duncan. The character is brought back to life in Saints Row 4 with Terry Crews, taking over the role after Duncan's passing. While different in delivery, Crews captures King's commanding presence and infuses the role with the respect it deserved. In that sense, King's reappearance is both a tribute to the franchise's history and to Duncan's legacy. After years of being seen as little more than the rival gang leader, Saints Row 4 finally gives Ben King his flowers, cementing him as one of the Saints' most enduring allies.
So what's the situation look like out there? It's bad. Why do I have a feeling that's a big understatement? You know me too well. We have a plan? Kind of. Kind of? We're getting the band back together and then we're gonna kill Zinyak. That's not a plan, that's a goal. What, you got a better one? Kenzie, you listening?
Yeah.
I want to turn this whole simulation off. You think you can do that?
With my help, she can.
I don't need your help.
Yes, you do. That's why you saved me first.
You saved Matt before me? Brilliant computer hacker, record mobile. Experience with virtual worlds, experience with street games. My experience is empire building. Empire building? I'm sorry, who became fucking president of the United States? Who's the person that the fucking president of the United States asked to run their cabinet because they were way over their head? I was not in over my head. True or false? You called me at 3 in the morning asking me to run your election because you weren't polling for shit. There's some fine points you're glossing over there, buddy. You're right. You weren't asking me, you were begging me.
Are you two finished yet?
Keith, have you been watching the whole time?
Yeah. And I'm just throwing this out there. I think there's only a passing similarity between me and Julius.
Whatever, you're like the same person.
How many of you guys are listening in on us?
All of us?
Let's not fight in front of the kids. Do you seriously have a plan? I do. Work it out with Kenzie and Matt and fill me in when we can execute. You got it.
All right, I'm killing your connection, Benjamin. We'll see you soon.
Hey, King. You really hate that you end up in second place, don't you?
Asha Otakar enters Saints Row 4 as a British Indian MI6 agent, and immediately her presence sets her apart from the Saints. Where the crew thrives on chaos, improvisation, and spectacle, Asha is all about procedure, discipline, and control. Her first interactions with Pierce and the boss highlight that divide. While she's prepared to carefully observe and plan, the boss simply charges in guns blazing, leaving her exasperated but intrigued. That contrast is key to her character. Asha represents a traditional model of espionage and counterterrorism, a foil to the Saints' reckless but effective approach. Her nightmare simulation digs even deeper into that identity. Asha is trapped in a mission where her target is none other than Mr. X, an evil doppelganger of the boss, complete with an eye patch and villain monologues. The mission itself parodies Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell, placing Asha in her natural elements of stealth, tactics, and precision. But the reveal of Mr. X also highlights her self-doubt. Her greatest fear is not just failure, but failing alongside people who thrive in chaos, forcing her to question her methods and place within the Saints. Defeating Mr. X is more than a gameplay gag. It's Asha conquering her own insecurities about whether she belongs in this crew. Asha ultimately finds her place by embracing the Saints' world without abandoning her own principles. The loyalty mission, where she strips the boss of their powers to test strategy over brute force, is telling. She wants to prove that discipline still has value, even in a superhero sandbox. Of course, the mission ends with a superpowered Professor Ginky interfering. But once Asha gains powers of her own, she embraces both sides of herself. The MI6 agent dedicated to the crown and the saint who fights like hell for her crew. Asha may not have the legacy of Gat or Shaundi, but her presence explains the Saints' world, reminding that even in the most absurd circumstances, discipline and chaos can find common ground.
Well, we killed me.
Yeah, we did.
You smoke?
I do now.
Evil me was kind of an asshole.
Good you is kind of an asshole.
Blame my parents.
Daddy issues?
Nah, just forget it.
Oh, don't like talking about your past.
Don't see the point. Who cares what I did before I joined the Saints?
Aren't you going to ask me about mine?
I thought we were killing evil clones, not picking out place settings.
Should probably get out of here.
Once more for old time's sake?
Yeah, why not?
Matt Miller's return in Saints Row 4 is one of the game's biggest surprises, because he was once one of the Saints' most hated enemies. Back in the third, he was the smug, arrogant leader of the Deckers, a hacker who constantly tried to outsmart Kinsey and the crew. But between games, Miller joins MI6 alongside Asha, signaling his shift from antagonist to reluctant ally. His first big moment comes when the boss rides the nuclear missile to save Washington, believing it's a suicide mission. Miller admits that if he had known the boss was willing to sacrifice himself for the world, he never would have tried to kill them. It's a small moment, but it shows how much his perspective has already shifted, respect slowly placing rivalry aside. In Saints Row 4, Miller's nightmare simulation is particularly telling. Unlike others who relieve violent tragedies or betrayals, Miller's fear is being trapped in a world he can't control. A text-based adventure game where the boss makes all the decisions. It's funny, but also revealing. Miller's greatest insecurity is his lack of power compared to those around him. His fanboy obsession with Nightblade reinforces this further. In his own training simulation, Miller casts himself as the hero's trusted ally and the boss as his sidekick, living out the fantasy of being respected and important. When Zinyak twists the simulation and forces him to kill Nightblade, Miller is devastated. Yet in that moment, the boss validates him, handing him his own ownership of the Nightblade franchise and encouraging him to embrace power for himself. This arc cements Miller's place as more than just comedic relief of a former rival. He becomes an integral part of the Saints family. He designs training simulations, helps the crew unlock powers, and even gives Gat the chance to relive an unfinished business assignment against Loren. More importantly, Miller learns to forgive himself and earn Kinsey's forgiveness, closing the book on their bitter rivalry from the third. What makes his journey so compelling is that it's grounded in insecurity. He wants to be taken seriously, to be seen as more than a cocky kid hacker. By the end of Saints Row 4, Matt Miller isn't just tolerated, he's a trusted ally, proving that even a former enemy can grow into a saint.
Underestimating how dangerous the mind of a super spy can be.
Super spy? Jesus, man, I get that you want to fuck her, but you don't have to build her a pedestal.
That is beside the point.
Yeah. Catch you later, man.
Zinyak arrived in the fourth as one of the most over-the-top villains the series has ever produced. And that's saying something for a franchise filled with luchador kings, cyber hackers, and masked wrestlers. From the moment he crashed through the White House ceiling during a press conference, Zinyak asserts himself as both terrifying and absurd. He abducts the Saints one by one, throws the boss into a nightmare simulation, and delivers Shakespearean monologues as if he was performing on a galactic stage. Unlike other gang leaders or crime lords, Zinyak isn't tied to Stillwater or Stillport. He's bigger than that, an alien emperor who treats Earth and his people like playthings. What makes Zinyak compelling is how psychological his methods are. Rather than simply killing the Saints, he imprisons them in simulations of their own personal hells. He is taught over the comms, constantly reminding the boss that they will fail, shows his belief that despair is stronger than bullets. And in many ways, he succeeds. He destroys the Earth after the boss escapes, making good on his threats and forcing the Saints to become not just gangsters or politicians, but humanity's last survivors. This move elevates him above past villains like Killbane or Loren, who fought for power or respect. Zinyak wages war on existence itself is cruelty wrapped in eloquent and theatrical flair. His final showdown captures both his arrogance and his downfall. Broadcasting the battle to his entire empire, Zinyak dons a massive mech suit to prove his dominance. But when the fight turns against him, he retreats behind the shields and throws waves of minions at the boss, showing the cowardice beneath the grandeur. True to their word, the boss rips his head off in one of the franchise's most brutal finishers, turning his empire against him in a single act. Zinyak may not have believed he was untouchable, but his obsession with spectacle became his undoing. As the Saints claim his throne, Zinyak is remembered not just as an alien who destroyed Earth, but as a villain who forced the Saints to evolve into something larger than life.
Quite the entrance.
I figured you had a flair for the dramatic.
Oh, you know me so well.
I'm really gonna miss these bonding sessions when I kill you.
Look at you. Mercutio to my Tybalt.
Don't be too excited. Tybalt dies at the end.
I'm surprised you knew that.
I didn't. Kinsey told me over the radio.
Well, at least you're honest.
Always. That way you know I'm not lying when I say I'm gonna rip your goddamn head off.
You're adorable. Zinjai?
Yes, Your Excellency.
Is the Empire watching?
Of course, Your Excellency.
Humanity is dead, my friend. The time has come for you to follow suit.
When it comes to gameplay, Saints Row 4 takes the familiar frameworks of Saints Row the Third and dials it up into absolute chaos. At its core, it's still an open-world third-person action game. You've got your missions, your side activities, and your sprawling city to mess around in. But what makes this entry stand out is how it layers superpowers on top of everything you already knew. From the moment you start collecting data clusters, the world shifts. Cars become pointless because you can sprint faster than any vehicle, leap over skyscrapers, glide across districts, and rain down shockwaves when you land. Add in powers like telekinesis, fire, and ice blast, or buffs that wrap your bullets in elemental energy, and you suddenly feel like the boss stepped straight out of a superhero comic. The powers change how you play at every level. In the third, driving, recruiting homies, and customizing rides were a big part of the fun. In 4, your speed and powers make your crew and vehicles almost obsolete. even when allies unlock powers of their own, they can't keep the pace with the godlike arsenal the boss wields. But that doesn't make the game empty. It makes the open world feel like a playground. Activities like insurance fraud return with a superpower twist, while new challenges such as blazing races, platforming rifts, and even Genki's wild telekinetic games show off what those powers can really do. The mission design keeps the variety alive too. You'll parody military shooters, slip into stealth sections inspired by Metal Gear and Splinter Cell, fight against a giant soda can named Paul, or find yourself in a text adventure simulation. Heck, they even parody Streets of Rage with Saints of Rage. Each saint gets their own loyalty missions too, and these are often tied to rescuing them from their worst fears, and completing these not only adds to the lore, but also powers up your crew. It's a smart way of tying character arcs into gameplay progression. Controls and mechanics saw subtle changes to fit this new superpower design. Grenades were removed to make room for abilities, and things like taunts or recruiting gang members had to be remapped. It's not a massive overall, but it does shift how the game feels in your hands compared to the third. The rhythm of combat becomes less about switching weapons on the fly and more about juggling powers, cooldowns, and movement. It's simple enough that you'll adapt quickly, but worth noting how much the mechanics lean into emphasizing powers over traditional gunplay. Of course, those powers also create a challenge, or really a lack of one. Being able to sprint faster than cars or throw fireballs means your homies become nearly irrelevant, and vehicles mostly sit as collectibles rather than necessities. Even when allies eventually unlock powers, they can't keep up with the sheer dominance of the boss. Some critics argued this tipped the balance too far, making the game feel less of a crime simulator and more of a superhero sandbox, but that's also where the fun lives. The game isn't designed to punish you, it's designed to let you break it in the most entertaining ways possible. On a technical side, the game is built on the Saints Row 3's engine, and that's both a strength and a weakness. Critics in 2013 pointed out how it looked dated, but the simulation aesthetic helps mask that by leaning into deliberate glitches, pixelated effects, and distorted NPCs. Powers come with their own flashy particle effects. Gliding leaves energy rails, stomps ripple the ground with force, and the world bends to your sling objects around with telekinesis. It may not look cutting edge, but it has a consistent style that fits the theme of being trapped in a corrupted digital stillport. Sound and voice work keep the presentation strong. While the radio stations take a step back with fewer genres than past games, there are still standout tracks, as the option to play music outside vehicles is a welcome addition. Sound effects for powers and alien weaponry pop with personality, and the voice acting is top notch. Every returning saint sounds as sharp as ever, with Nolan North even making a self-parodying appearance as Nolan North. Performances carry the humor and the heart of the game, which is crucial in a story so absurdly over the top. Weapons and customization deserve mention. While vehicles may feel less necessary, the arsenal more than makes up for it. Beyond the dubstep gun, there are alien blasters, Star Trek-inspired phasers, and even Steam-exclusive options like the Team Fortress 2 flamethrower with rainbow fire. Traditional guns can also be reskinned into wild alternatives, and customization is deeper than ever. Clothing and character creation also return in full force, letting you embrace everything from sci-fi cosplay to the classic hot dog suit. It's over the top at its finest. Although I will say, and we all can agree, the second game still had the best way to customize your character. Replayability rounds out the package. Activities now use a bronze, silver, and gold ranking system, encouraging players to aim for the highest rewards. Loyalty missions not only flesh out the characters, but it also unlocks the best ending if you complete them all. Collectibles, challenges, audio logs, and hidden text adventures add even more layers for completionists. The sheer amount of optional content ensures that even after the main campaign, there's still plenty to chase. On top of that, the progression system gives you a sense of escalation. Data clusters aren't just collectibles, they're currency for upgrading powers. Early on, you'll be working with cooldowns and stamina limits, but as you invest in perks, you can unlock things like infinite sprint, quicker cooldowns, or dual-wielding alien weapons. By the late game, the boss doesn't just feel superpowered, they feel unstoppable, and that growth curve makes experimenting with powers even more satisfying. Enemy encounters evolve around those powers too. The Zen doesn't just act as reskin gang members, they come with their own escalation system. Lower wanted levels spawn basic foot soldiers, but the longer you run wild, the more portals open, and tougher the opposition gets. Wardens in particular serve as mini bosses that force you to creatively use the powers to break the shields and exploit openings. Still, some critics feel the AI became repetitive compared to fighting rival gangs in earlier entries, with Zen swarms often blending together in longer firefights. Activities and minigames add to the chaos with a mix of returning fan favorites and new twists. Mayhem, fraud, and fight clubs are back, but redesigned with superpowers in mind. Tower climbs test your platforming skills, rift challenges bend the simulation into glitchy playgrounds, and Genki's telekinetic areas push you to find creative ways to juggle enemies and objects. While not every activity lands, the variety makes it easy to pick and choose what kind of chaos you want to cause on any given night. Of course, the fourth doesn't just deliver on gameplay. It leans heavily into its humor and satire in the system themselves. Romance is a perfect example. Borrowing from Mass Effect, you can walk up to any crew member on the ship and flirt instead of drawn-out dialogue trees. It's often a one-liner followed by an instant kiss or more. It's absurd, but highlights how the game parodies genre tropes while still giving fans the satisfaction of connecting with their favorite characters. The same tone carries into the insurance fraud ragdolls, Professor Genki arenas, and even the way powers are introduced. It's all ridiculous, but in a way it feels deliberate. All told, Saints Row 4 may reuse Steelport and much of the third's foundation, but it reinvents the experience through powers, parody, and personality. It's less about the crime sandbox roots and more about pushing player freedom to the extreme. And in that shift, it finds its own identity. Even after the credits roll, there's a ton to keep you busy. Side missions, challenges, gold medals on activities, collectibles, and hidden audio logs all extend the life of the game. And with two-player co-op, that chaos doubles. Critics might have knocked Saints Row 4 for reusing assets from the third, but it's important to remember that this game started as a DLC expansion before evolving into a full release. In that sense, it makes sense that the city looks familiar, but the gameplay is transformed so much by powers that it feels like a completely different experience. Saints Row 4 launched on August 20th, 2013 for North American markets, August 23rd, 2013 for European markets, and September 12th, 2013 for Australian markets for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. The core experience, story, missions, superpowers, customization, and co-op remain identical across all platforms, ensuring players got the same outrageous Saints Row chaos no matter what system they played on. Where the differences show is in performance and visuals. The PC version stood out immediately, delivering higher resolution, smoother frame rates, customizable graphic settings, and of course access to mods that extended the life of the game far beyond the base release. On console, both PS3 and Xbox 360 targeted 30 frames per second, but struggled to maintain it consistently. Between the two, the Xbox 360 version fared better, running natively at 720p with stronger anti-aliasing, texture filtering, and shadow quality. The PS3 build ran from a scaled 960 by 720 frame buffer, producing a noticeably softer image with more jagged edges and occasional streaming hiccups. While all versions captured the humor and spectacle intact, technically, Xbox 360 and especially PC offered the sharper experience. Later, Saints Row 4 was repackaged into expanded releases. The National Treasure Edition and the Game of the Century Edition bundle in 29 DLC packs across content from weapons like the Grassroots America gun to new missions, vehicles, and cosmetic packs. These editions served as the definitive versions of the game on last-gen hardware, offering over $60 worth of extra content in one package. on January 20th, 2015 in North America and January 23rd in Europe, Saints Row 4 made it the leap to the current gen with Saints Row 4 Re-Elected. This was ported by High Voltage Software, and this release brought the game to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, later arriving on PC on December 8th, 2022. At its core, Re-Elected retained the same outrageous story and superpower open world chaos from the original, but packaged it as a definitive edition complete with all previous release downloadable content. This meant players not only got the full base game, but also story packs like Enter the Dominatrix and How the Saints Saved Christmas. Plus, the substantial standalone expansion Gat Out of Hell, which I'm covering in 2 weeks, along with 20 plus smaller weapon, missions, and cosmetic packs. Visually, Re-Elected took advantage of the newer console with higher resolution graphics, improved lighting effects, and more detailed character models. Performance was noticeably smoother compared to PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, offering a cleaner overall presentation. While it didn't quite reach the ultra settings of a maxed out PC build, it still represented the best way to experience Saints Row 4 on console. Quality of life features were also added, including voice commands to switch powers and PS4 touchpad integration for QuickTime events. While these extras weren't game-changing, they reinforced the complete edition feel of the package. On March 27, 2020, Saints Row 4 Re-Elected arrived on Nintendo Switch, making it the first portable version of the game. This edition included all DLC content just like the PS4 and Xbox One versions, though compromises were made to performance and visuals to fit the hardware. Frame rates were less stable and resolution dropped compared to other platforms, but the core gameplay remained intact. For many, the draw of the Switch release was the novelty of playing Saints Row 4's chaotic Superpowers sandbox on the go. While not the optimal technical version, it expanded the game's reach to a new audience and cemented Re-Elected as a franchise's definitive edition across multiple platforms. Upon release, Saints Row 4 was met with generally favorable positive reviews, though its reception varied across platforms. On Metacritic, the game scored an 86 out of 100. On Metacritic, the game scored 86 out of 100 on PC, 81 on Xbox, and 76 on PS3, with later Re-Elected editions dropping slightly to the mid-70s on PS4 and Xbox One. The Nintendo Switch version released years later drew mixed responses due to technical compromises. Despite these variations, the core game was praised for its humor, sheer chaos, and freedom of play. Reviewers agreed that the fourth delivered on the most absurd self-aware experiences in the open world genre. Polygon called it big, goofy, and self-referential fun, praising its player freedom, outrageous power fantasy, and its willingness to parody everything from superhero tropes to Mass Effect. They particularly highlighted the game's even-handed treatment of gender, noting that the boss could be male, female, or even Nolan North, and none of it changed how the story unfolded. Eurogamer echoed that sentiment, calling the game the Sistine Chapel ceiling of stupidity, while still praising how the Superpowers reinvented exploration in a way reminiscent of Crackdown or Prototype. But the very thing that made the fourth unique was also the source of its biggest criticism: balance. IGN argued that giving the player godlike powers so early trivialized the world, saying it felt like playing Saints Row III with cheat codes on. Homies and vehicles became irrelevant, gunplay took a backseat, and the sheer abundance of collectibles felt like filler meant to distract from a lack of meaningful challenge. Still, even IGN admitted the arsenal had highlights, with weapons like the Disingenerator standing out. Even the infamous dubstep gun, while iconic, it wasn't particularly effective in combat. Commercially, the game was a success, selling over 1 million copies in the first week. Fans embraced its parody-heavy tone, the return of beloved characters, and its willingness to lean into absolute chaos. For some, the fourth was the peak of the franchise's identity as a playground of nonsense. For others, it marked the point where the series left behind its gangland roots entirely. Either way, the game cemented itself as one of the most memorable and divisive entries in Saints Row's legacy. Among everyday players, opinions split hard along one line. Do you want a grounded Saints Row 2 vibe, or do you want pure ridiculous freedom? Many gamers celebrated for as the ultimate Saints Row experience, praising the non-stop variety, the love letter callbacks, and the way Powers turned Steelport into a superhero playground. They dug the visual flair on abilities, the deeper weapon skins from phasers to rainbow flamethrowers, the huge pile of activities and loyalty missions, and the cast / voice work. For this crowd, 4 wasn't standalone DLC. It felt like a big new toy box built on familiar tech, and that was the point. On the other side, plenty of gamers bounced off the tone and structure. They felt the writing lurch between try-hard gags and shallow parody, and the retcons around returning characters landed poorly, and argued that Always Night Steelport looked lifeless inside the simulation wrapper. The power curve turned transversal into a straight line dash, made cars and homies irrelevant, and left gunplay AI feeling repetitive. Technical gripes stacked on top, bugs, crashes, uneven audio mixing, and visuals that looked too close to the third for their taste. While both camps overlap, superpowers are fun to use, the activity spread is enormous, and co-op multiplies laughter to the imbalance. In short, fans who wanted maximum chaos mostly adored 4. Fans who wanted return to Saints Row 2's grit often saw it as a midlife crisis for the series. So understand, I have history with this game, and while I know plenty of people can't stand what Saints Row 4 became, I can honestly say this game was fun overall. Behind the scenes, politics and company decisions shaped this into something lifelong fans were divided on. But to me, it still had more life than many gave it credit for. Saints Row was always over the top and funny, and here it takes that to a whole new level. Bringing back familiar faces and revisiting old story beats felt like fan service, but the kind that worked if you cared about those characters. We even know more callbacks were planned. Lynn and possibly Carlos could have returned, which would have been amazing nods to the past. You win some, you lose some. What I will say though is this: the game is short. You can knock out the main story in 4 to 5 hours, and that's without touching side content like hacking stores, virus injections, or waves of enemies. Powers also made it a lot easier. Half the time I was tossing explosions and clearing out flashpoints in seconds. Cars? Forget it. With super sprint and gliding, vehicles were basically collectibles. But here's the thing, I didn't mind. The sheer freedom of sprinting up walls and gliding through the skies while your own mixtape plays was incredible. Volition made a smart choice by letting music play outside of cars, and the soundtrack itself, smooth, stylish, and unforgettable. Every Saints Row had great music, but here it felt personal. Flying through a simulated skyline with your own theme song blasting was immersive in a way I still remember. And when I think back to it, playing it at launch, it was a stress reliever. Saints Row 4 made you feel like a superhero. The only other game that hit me like this was Spider-Man 2018. But in 2013, watching the boss run up walls was just as thrilling. And here's something we don't talk about enough. Saints Row released 4 mainline games in one console generation. The first through the fourth, all on Xbox 360. Compare that to Rockstar, who gave us GTA 4 and GTA 5 in the same generation. 2 games versus 4. That's something to admire, because despite all the chaos, despite the studio politics, Volition showed love to this series in a way that's rare in open world gaming. So when it comes to Saints Row 4, I'd say this: if you like superheroes, if you like The Matrix, if you like these characters, this game can be an out of this world experience. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed it, dropping a like really helps push this video in the YouTube algorithm. Next week, we're diving into GTA 4 as part of the Rockstar Takeover series, and in 2 weeks, we'll be closing out the Central Takeover with Gat Out of Hell, just like you all requested. If you want to be there when those drop, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss a thing. And if you want to support the channel directly, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. With that said, this is the Retro Phantom, signing out.